Deep in the heart of the royal capital, a warm aroma drifts through the back alleys toward a secret spot. This is a quietly popular cafe that most people would walk right past. It is a special place where countless miracles and deep feelings finally cross paths. A cheerful waitress greets every guest with a warm smile and a steaming plate. Welcome to the Hideaway, the most unique cafe in the city. But this story didn't begin here. It began in another world where a girl named Mai spent her final days in a hospital bed while her family could only watch and regret not noticing her illness sooner. Her grandmother looks on, haunted by the realization that even advanced medicine cannot save everyone. She admits she let her guard down against the inevitability of death. The old woman asks Mai a haunting question about leaving for an unknown world. She wonders if the girl would be scared to go there all by herself. Mai assumes she is talking about the afterlife, but the truth is much stranger. This is a real world. It just lacks all the modern conveniences she has ever known. Her grandma offers a wild deal, a healthy body and a second chance at life, but she has to survive in a new world all on her own. Even with the hospital gear, she makes her choice known, calling the chance at a real life absolutely perfect. She feels the weight of a life ending at only 25, but starting over healthy is her ultimate dream. The deal is sealed, and a bright light fills the room as Grandma prepares the final send-off. Enveloped in warmth, she listens to one last piece of advice to always do her best in the world ahead. Before taking her final breath, she asks for a message to be sent to her beloved cat, Yotaro. She tells him not to wait for her because she won't be coming home. Waking up in a lush valley with mountains in the distance, her first thought is a quiet apology to her grandmother. And just like that, 2 months fly by. Our girl is already a natural in Orb Village, wrapping up her chores and volunteering to go hunt dinner for everyone. The locals are impressed. She started out clueless about basic survival, but now she is running off to hunt like she has been doing it her whole life. Looking back, it is still wild. She woke up in a random field surrounded by strangers, yet she could understand their strange language perfectly. The biggest shock was her own body. The disease was gone and she was suddenly healthy, leaving her completely stunned in a world she did not recognize. She knew right away this was her grandma doing. Eager to pay it back, she bowed and asked for any work she could do to help out. This world is nothing like Japan. There is no plumbing or electricity, but there is something much better waiting in the woods. Magic is the real deal here. With a quick point of her finger, she snipes a bird for dinner and secures the feast. Her grandmother's parting gift wasn't just mana, it was an entire library of magical knowledge. Practicing in secret paid off. As her skills improved day by day, transmigration and a healed body were just the beginning. She can't explain how her grandma did it, but she is ready to move forward and live a healthy life. Nightfall in this world is no joke. Without a moon, the darkness is absolute, making it clear that she needs to get home before the sun dips any further. A stranger is waiting back at the house. Ingo introduces her to his son, Gins. But the sudden visit suggests that something big is happening. The situation is more serious than she thought. With his wife struggling after childbirth, Gins needs his parents to move in and help out. Staying behind isn't an option. She knows she can't let these kind people worry about her, so it's time to figure out her next move. No room for apologies or hesitation. She thanks them for everything and announces her plan to head straight for the royal capital. She thanks the couple for saving her life while showing off her candle-sized flame. They insist they are the ones who should be grateful for everything she has done for them. Water magic is way harder to pull off, but she can still manage a tiny bit despite it being extremely rare in this world. Digging holes with earth magic is a breeze for our girl, but her grandma's special conversion magic is the real endgame. This unique system lets her swap one item for another as long as she can visualize the final product. Turning tree branches into spoons is easy, but she remembers her dad's old science lessons about carbon and quartz and gets a better idea. Since opals and dirt share the same base components, she starts pulling minerals from the ground to test if her chemistry knowledge actually works. The experiment is a total success. She crafts a high-quality opal on her very first try by combining earth and conversion magic into one powerful move. 2 months have passed since our girl arrived in this world, and it is finally time to hit the road. She knows she was lucky to be taken in by Ingo and his wife. Using the opal she crafted, she plans to pay her way all the way to the capital. At 25 and in perfect health, she is ready to let her magic do the heavy lifting. Survival was her specialty in her old world, so she is confident she can handle whatever the capital throws at her. Staying optimistic is the secret to not breaking down when things get rough. She reminds herself to stay sharp, avoid strangers, and find a place to stay before the sun goes down. Grandma hands her a small pouch and tells her to wait until later to open it. With a bright smile, our MC gives her final thanks for the last 2 months of kindness. The couple waves from the distance as she officially sets off on her journey. They cheer her on, shouting for her to do her best as she leaves their home behind. 6 days of traveling later, the royal capital of the Kingdom of Wellnose finally comes into view. The scale of the city is incredible, and she can finally celebrate actually making it to her destination. Her first move is checking out the local food scene to see what people in the city like to eat. The meat is pretty tough, but a hot meal is a welcome relief after nearly a week on the road. Mai is chilling in a cafe, thinking about her future in the capital. With her magic, she could easily live a life of luxury without lifting a finger. But she knows that just eating and sleeping would eventually rot her brain. She needs a real purpose and people to talk to, so she decides her next big move is finding a spot that works as both a shop and a cozy home. Her mind drifts back to her old life, wondering how her grandma and their cat Yotaro are holding up. Back in Tokyo, they ran a cafe together, and she is sure the regulars are still keeping the place alive. Even after losing so much, her grandma was strong enough to send her off to this new world alone. But a lingering question still hangs over her head. Who exactly is her grandma? And what kind of life did she really lead before all this? Looking back, Mai realizes she knows next to nothing about her grandma's early life. All she has got is the basic history of her meeting grandpa in her late 20s and eventually having a daughter. It is a mystery how a 78-year-old woman from Tokyo was even connected to a fantasy world like this. She makes it her mission to one day uncover the truth behind her grandma's secrets. She eventually finds a potential spot, but the landlord is skeptical because it is tucked away in a dead end with 0-foot traffic. He suggests finding somewhere more visible, but our girl isn't deterred and insists it is fine. Seeing her determination, he hands over the keys and officially lets her take the spot. With the keys in hand, she locks away all her fears and loneliness to focus on the task ahead. Everything is finally ready for her new beginning. She declares her plan to open a cafe right in a corner of the royal capital. The grand opening is officially on. Word on the street is already spreading about the new spot. People are loving the cheap and delicious food, and even the local cats are stopping by to check out the vibes. A customer stops by, lured in by the soft aroma of rice and that sweet, salty pork sauce. He reaches for the door, ready to see what the hype is about. Mai greets him with a bright welcome as he steps inside. Her face lights up when she realizes her regular, Mr. Henry, has returned. Henry keeps it cool with a simple hello and places his order for the daily lunch. Mai is already on it, heading back to the stove to get his meal ready. Today's special is a bowl of simmered pork belly over rice. Henry takes a bite and stays locked in on the flavor while Mai watches from the side for his reaction. One look at his face says it all. The man is in food heaven. Mai celebrates another win, happy to see her customer is satisfied once again. Henry has been a regular since the cafe first opened, dropping by almost every day for nearly 2 months. Our girl offers him some tea, and Henry takes a slow sip, noting the silence in the shop before asking if business is actually holding up. Mai pours another cup with a smile, confirming things are moving along just fine. The post-lunch lull is just part of the daily routine. While noon brings the main rush of workers, Henry usually rolls in as the final lunch customer around 2. Henry admits he would be in a tough spot if the cafe closed down. Mai just laughs it off, reminding him that a top-tier official always has work waiting at the castle. She tells him to take his time and fuel up before he has to deal with the afternoon shift. As things wind down, Mai watches Henry carefully manage his hot drink while keeping his usual calm demeanor. With the payment left on the table, Mai takes a well-deserved tea break. She is not aiming for a world-famous shop, just a cozy life where her magic covers the bills. Henry heads out, promising to return tomorrow. Mai waves him off with a smile, telling him she will be waiting. Once the shop is empty, it is time for some secret training. She uses the quiet hours before the dinner rush to level up her magic. Who needs a dishwasher when you have magic? She blasts the plates with a precise mix of 70-degree water and 50-degree air to get them sparkling clean. Even a rookie like her can pull this off thanks to some combined knowledge from her grandma. Magic truly is the ultimate life hack for a busy business owner. Taking a quiet moment to reflect, she realizes how lucky she is to be here. This second life in a healthy body is a gift she never expected to receive. Her thoughts drift back to her grandma's wish for her to live a life full of smiles. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out from the door, signaling the arrival of more company. Seeing her customers dive into their food with such joy makes everything worth it. If her cooking can bring a smile to someone else's face, then her mission is complete. Maya is practically glowing with that signature smile. Then that's even more wonderful. She cheers. Cut to the castle where the clock is ticking against Henry. The bells have already rung 7 times, meaning his chances of catching a meal at the dorm cafeteria are long gone. Hunger sets in, and our guy's mind immediately goes to the hideaway. Unfortunately for him, the shop is already closed, leaving him totally stranded for dinner. The local cafeteria is a disaster, serving the same traditional garbage for 50 years straight. He realizes that choosing his daily meal at Mai's place has become the only thing he actually looks forward to. Henry tries to hide his face as the internal monologue gets real. He's thinking about Mai every single day, and it's starting to get a little too obvious. He quickly tries to gaslight himself into believing it's just about the food. But as memories of a family pop up, it's clear there's some serious emotional baggage here. The vibe turns dark as he retreats into the shadows. He's convinced he's not allowed to be happy, much less fall in love with anyone. Our boy is spiraling, convinced that if Mai knew the real him, she would run for the hills. He is certain she would just be disgusted by his true nature. He tries to shut down his feelings, telling himself to stop expecting anything more. Just seeing her smile and grabbing a meal is enough happiness for now, and he looks forward to returning tomorrow at noon. The shop is closed for the night as the scene shifts back to the kitchen. Mai is already brainstorming her next menu while she gives her latest creation a good stir. The night sky settles over the quiet streets as the stars shine bright. It is a reminder that if you just wait, tomorrow will always find its way back. Being the royal capital's chief official is a major grind. So Henry just wants peace and quiet. He's all about sticking to his schedule and keeping things low-key. But meals are the one time he's willing to break routine. He follows a delicious scent that he's never smelled before down a side street. Mai welcomes him into the cafe as the bells chime, instantly setting him up with some fresh water and a starter set of salad and soup. He's actually shocked by the quality, wondering if this place is just a rich girl's hobby since it doesn't look like it's making any money. Then the main event arrives, a plate of spaghetti Napolitan. It's a sweet tomato-flavored dish he's never seen, but it looks absolutely fire. Every bite is a hit, from the fresh salad and rich soup to the perfectly balanced tomato sauce. The attention to detail is just on another level. After cleaning his plate, Henry is officially sold. He manages to ask what's usually on the menu for the daily special, completely won over by the food. Mai breaks down the daily special, a crispy pork cutlet sandwich that is already sold out for the day. She admits the menu usually just follows whatever mood she is in. Henry thinks that sounds fire too, but he is not picky. He tells her there are plenty of other dishes he is excited to try instead. Mai tells him to enjoy whatever he likes whenever he wants. Henry is officially sold, realizing this place is the perfect mix of clean, delicious, and friendly. Our boy is convinced he has found the ultimate restaurant. But things get deep when he wonders if his mother ever ate food this good, revealing he was actually adopted. He was taken into a noble family right after he was born. Even though they were not related by blood, his adoptive parents raised him with a ton of love. 3 years ago, he decided to hire someone to find his birth mother. The vibe turns heavy as feathers drift through the memory of his search. He has only met her a few times to avoid upsetting his adoptive parents. His birth mother tells him about her past as a laundry maid and how his father fell for her at first sight. Henry reflects on his mysterious past, noting that his mother never spilled the tea on who his biological father really was. All she would admit was that he was a decent guy, unlike the people he associated with. Back in the day, she tried to ghost him as soon as she found out she was pregnant. She promised to disappear and keep the kid a secret just to avoid any noble drama. But the man actually cared and didn't want her struggling as a single parent. He was the one who suggested the whole adoption plan in the first place. He handpicked a noble family he trusted to raise his son with a better life. Henry takes it all in, realizing his path was mapped out before he could even crawl. Looking down, our boy realizes his darker nature definitely didn't come from his high society upbringing. It must have come from his mother's side of the family. His biological dad was a total genius too. Between those top-tier genes and his noble education, Henry ended up with all the right weapons to climb the social ladder. He gets ready to head out, still keeping his true origins on lock. He pays his respects for the meal and steps back into the world, wondering if he is lucky or just cursed. Bro has been playing the long game, staying calm and avoiding beef to climb the ranks. At just 25, he is already a chief government official. Fast forward 2 months, and Henry is back from another meal at the cafe. His assistant greets him, noting that his food choice was a hit yet again. A sudden summons for a meeting about someone named Giselle kills the vibe. He looks over the papers, wondering why they need a simple civil servant for something this big. He heads out, skeptical about dealing with the unpredictable logic of magicians. His colleague thinks it is just a flex of Henry's top-tier brain power. He announces himself as he steps into the grand hall. It is time to see what this high-level meeting is actually about. The mood is heavy as curious. The acting leader of the magic division kicks things off. She drops the bombshell that chief magician Giselle Reesley has completely vanished. It turns out Giselle disappeared 5 months ago, taking a massive government-funded project with her. Even worse, the entire design was stuck in her head, leaving everyone else in the dark. Henry looks exhausted as he stares at the wall. These magicians really forget who is paying the bills. Curious stays calm while dropping the news that Giselle has been missing for 5 months. At this point, nobody even knows if she is still alive. The Minister of Military Affairs slams his hand down in frustration. He wants to know how a top-tier researcher just vanishes while working on teleportation magic. Curious just shrugs with a blank expression. The minister's blood pressure is definitely spiking as he glares at her. Henry looks away, clearly done with the conversation. He just wants to get back to his desk and avoid all this magician drama. The king touches his head and turns toward Henry. He wants a real opinion from someone who actually knows how to manage a budget. Henry steps forward with a sharp, determined look. He is tackling this strictly from a profit and loss standpoint. This magic was her specialty alone. The plan to train others went up in smoke when both she and the tool vanished. Searching any further is just throwing good money after bad. The king looks down, feeling the weight of the situation. He admits it might be time to call it quits. Curious is fuming at the suggestion. The minister shouts that letting this slide sets a dangerous precedent for every researcher in the kingdom. Henry stands there staring into the void while the mages argue. He just wants to get back to his desk and deal with the piles of paperwork waiting for him. Tired of the drama, Henry steps forward with a proposal. He suggests pinning the blame on the magic division to wrap the case up. Curious looks like her world just ended. Curious loses her mind, asking what kind of toxic workplace blames the staff for their boss's mistakes. Henry remains cold, insisting that without a clear chain of responsibility, this mess stays open forever. He drops the hammer by holding up 3 fingers, a 30% budget cut for a whole year to call it even. Curious is not having it. She is losing her mind over how to explain a massive budget cut to her team just because their boss went missing. Henry stays ice cold. He tells her they can handle the details later while looking like he has already moved on. The decision is final. The Magic Division is officially losing 30% of their funding, and the military leaders walk away satisfied. Case closed. Henry stands tall while Curious basically wilts in the hallway, looking like she just lost everything. She is still fuming and starts swinging at him for being so heartless. Henry just keeps walking and tells her to take a chill pill. Our boy pivots the conversation with a classic bribe. He offers to treat her to a meal that actually tastes like something to keep the peace. Food is the only language she speaks. She is skeptical about the castle cafeteria food, but Henry promises something rare for their meeting tomorrow. Henry's bribe works like a charm, and Curious is suddenly all smiles. He leans in to whisper a plan to recover that lost budget later. The dude is practically glowing with hope now. Our boy explains he couldn't just announce a budget fix in front of the whole meeting. He locks in a lunch date for tomorrow and promises the food will blow his mind. Curious waves him off, totally hyped for the rare meal. Henry walks away, low-key feeling conflicted about sharing his favorite hidden gem with anyone else. Reality hits as Curious realizes he still has to face his team with the bad news. Just imagining their angry shouts makes him break into a cold sweat. Back at the castle balcony, Henry stares out at the horizon with a heavy sigh. He knows complaints are coming, but his goal is just getting everyone to accept the final decision. A friendly voice breaks the silence. This is Gilsh, one of Henry's fellow officials, and he is curious if the meeting was actually that bad. Henry brushes it off, noting that the missing person case is finally wrapped up. Gilsh agrees that everyone is way too busy to keep dwelling on it for long. Gilsh pulls up to invite Henry for a group drinking session. Usually a lone wolf. Our boy actually agrees to tag along for a change. Back at the cafe, Mai is getting her hands dirty with some rice bran. She is totally in the zone, focused on her next cooking project. Mai reveals she has been using magic to produce her own rice oil for the past month. A sudden spill catches her off guard, and she hates seeing her hard work go to waste. The process is simple, converting cheap fertilizer bran into a premium ingredient. This secret sauce is the reason her shop's signature flavors keep the regulars coming back for more. With her supply ready, Mai throws on her cloak to head out. The workday is done, but her night is just beginning. Nighttime in the capital has become her favorite time to roam. She reveals that wandering the streets every single night has become her new normal. The silence of an empty house is just too loud for her to bear. Walking these dark alleys is the only way to ignore the feeling that she is truly alone in this world. Sure, chatting with customers at the shop is cool and all, but it is not the deep connection our girl is actually craving. Between the heavy silence and missing basic stuff like TV, the weight of how alone she really is finally starts to hit. Realizing that letting her mental state slide is a one-way ticket to a breakdown, Mai decides she needs a change of scenery. That is why she starts hitting up a local tavern just to feel some type of way among the city noise. Meet Romy, the tavern owner who is always ready with a smile and the usual greeting. Mai keeps it simple with an order of barley liquor and dried meat, just trying to blend in with the regulars. Being surrounded by the crowd helps the loneliness fade for a bit, but it is only a temporary fix. Even in a room full of people, her heart still feels like it is on its own island. Living with a double life is exhausting when you're an isekai protagonist with magic powers. As long as she has to hide her true identity from everyone, she can never really let her guard down. She just wants someone, anyone, that she can be her real self with. It is a lonely path when your biggest secrets are things nobody in this world would even understand. When a group of customers rolls in, the vibe shifts and she decides it is time to bounce. She calls for the check, ready to head back into the quiet night. Our girl is just trying to have a quiet moment when a familiar voice from behind calls her name. Mai turns around, shocked to find Henry standing right there in the middle of the night. Mr. Henry. He stares back with a serious expression, and the whole mood of the night changes as their eyes lock. Henry is completely thrown off seeing Mai at the tavern this late at night. He looks pretty concerned and asks if she is really out here all by herself. Mai admits this place is one of her favorite spots for a late-night drink. Not wanting her to be alone, Henry quickly says his goodbyes to the owner and gets ready to head out. He gives a quick apology to his buddy Gilsh before making a swift exit. It is clear that making sure Mai gets home safe is his top priority right now. As she walks home, the sound of heavy footsteps echo behind her in the silent street. Mai starts to panic, convinced that someone is creeping up on her from the shadows. Out of nowhere, Henry comes charging in with the most graceful running form ever seen. He insists on being her escort back to the cafe, even though Mai tries to play it cool and says she can handle the walk. Henry stands his ground, telling her it is way too risky for a woman to be wandering these streets alone at night. He changes the subject and asks if she visits that tavern very often. Mai tells him she only goes a few times a week to keep things low-key. Little does he know, she is actually there every single night just to escape the silence of her own house. Henry asks if she is a big drinker, but Mai admits she just hates being alone at night. She just wants to feel the presence of other people for a bit. Henry asks about her family, which prompts a heavy reveal. Her parents passed away in an accident when she was only 10. She spent 15 years living with her grandma after that, staying with a farm family in Orb Village. Once they moved away, she packed her bags and headed for the royal capital. She stops in her tracks, noticing something is missing. Usually there's a cat hanging around this spot, but today it is nowhere to be found. Henry looks down and offers an apology for prying. Mai worries that she is talking way too much. She explains how watching the street cats wander around is one of her only comforts. It is a small joy that keeps her going in the big city. Henry guesses the cats might just be having a secret party tonight. When he asks if she is a fan, she practically glows while confessing her love for them. Our girl is geeking out about cats, admitting she would get way too obsessed if she ever actually owned one. Henry just gives her a plain look and says, "I see." He keeps his legendary poker face while acknowledging her love for felines. She notices that even though he looks bored, he is actually talking way more than usual tonight. Walking side by side under the starlight, she silently hopes he is a cat person too, just so she has someone to share her obsession with. They finally make it back to her place. She waves thanks, and he reminds her to lock up before heading out into the night. Back in the quiet of her home, she grabs a glass of ginger ale to sober up. It is a wild reminder that she is not only alive but somehow ended up as a magician in this world. On paper, she has everything she needs to be happy, like a good job and new friends. But as the silence settles in, it feels like something is still missing. Tucking herself into bed, the quiet of the night starts to feel heavy again. The excitement of the day fades, leaving her feeling lost in the stillness. The starry night sky hangs over the city, while the silence remains heavy. Even with magic now part of her life, the loneliness of the late hours hasn't changed. Feeling the weight of a late night as she works the counter, she is mid-thought about Henry when the shop bell cuts through the quiet with a fresh arrival. Henry arrives with a coworker who is already roasting the shop's sketchy location. He stays on brand and defends the menu while introducing his skeptical friend to the shop. Management mode activated as she welcomes the duo to their seats. Henry drops a quick thanks as they get settled into the vibe. The guest keeps the negative energy going, whispering about how young the owner looks. Henry tries to kill the chatter, but Mai is definitely within earshot. Henry doubles down on the hype, claiming he would be here for dinner every night if his job didn't consume his soul. He is dead serious about the food quality. The secret is officially out when Henry admits to being a 6-day-a-week regular. Mai catches a stray bullet of embarrassment as the coworker realizes just how deep the obsession goes. Mai stays focused on tenderizing the meat, while the magic division lead rants about how the new work conditions make zero sense. Curious is stressing about the extra work needed to restore his budget, but Henry drops the hard truth that there is no perfect solution. Henry reminds him that even the top officials are putting in overtime these days. Curious just laughs, calling him the ultimate model student. The delicious scent of fried food finally breaks the tension. Curious is at the counter in a heartbeat, trying to sniff out the secret behind the oil. Mai keeps her cards close to her chest with a quick trade secret answer, skillfully hiding her use of magic from the professional magician. Henry pulls his buddy away to give Mai some space and even offers to help carry the dishes, allowing her to keep her magician status hidden for now. Service is finally up. Curious is absolutely floored by the egg-sealed cutlet sandwich and stew set, claiming he has never seen anything like it. Mai clarifies that she cooked the eggs through to match local tastes, and Henry gives Kilius the green light to dig in. He teases his friend about being bad with hot food, but Kilius is too hungry to care. One bite is all it takes for Kilius to hit food heaven, claiming he has never tasted pork this good in his life. He is practically glowing as he devours the meal. Kilius keeps the compliments coming, calling the food perfect and Mai a young lady. She accepts the praise with a smile, but internally, she is wondering just how old this dude actually is. Kilius spots the potato salad on Henry's plate and begs for a sample before trying to swipe the whole serving. Henry shuts down the heist with a firm no, keeping his side dish for himself. Henry is ready to head back to the castle, but Kilius is still lingering and complaining about missing out on dessert. Mai just smiles to herself, relieved that they actually enjoyed their meal. Kilius is fully focused on the menu now, deciding he needs to try the apple cream pie even if Henry leaves without him. Henry tries to pull him away for work, but Mai jumps in to say the pie can be packed for the road. Kilius decides to buy out the entire stock of 7 slices to share with the team, and he is naturally putting it all on Henry's tab. Henry just closes his eyes and accepts his fate as the office benefactor. Mai starts to pack up the pies, but Kilius stops her with a better idea. He asks to borrow the box for a second and starts casting some flashy magic over the treats. Seeing real magic from this world up close is a first for her. Kilius lays down a magical barrier right over the box of apple cream pie. He invites Mai to touch it, showing off the perks of having a high-level magician as a regular. Mai pokes the top of the box only to find an invisible wall blocking her fingers. Kilius is all about showing off his food preservation barrier, while Henry just sighs at the waste of top-tier talent. High-tech food wrap is a total vibe. As the guys head out, Mai waves goodbye and wonders if her grandma ever used magic for something as simple as keeping leftovers fresh. The idea of a magical food wrap is honestly a game-changer for her business. Back at the counter, Mai mentions that Kilius and his entire department have basically made her cafe their new favorite dessert spot. Henry digs into some beef stew with vegetable glaze, clearly surprised by how much of a regular his colleague has become. Mai reveals her latest creation, a seasonal chestnut pie that immediately catches Henry's interest. He is so sold that he decides to buy out the entire stock for himself and his team. Business is definitely booming. Preparing chestnuts is no joke, requiring a marathon of boiling and peeling to get that perfect flavor. Mai reflects on the intense manual labor that goes into every single slice. It is a long process, but the final result is worth the effort. Grandma always said there's a unique joy in putting in effort for someone else. Since Mai cannot see her anymore, she keeps those small words close while she works. Our girl has gotten good at reading Henry, especially when he hits that moved and pleased look after a bite of chestnut pie. Seeing people genuinely enjoy her new menu items has become her favorite part of the day. Henry turns on the serious vibes and asks if Kilius has been getting on her nerves lately. Mai keeps it professional and tells him everything is fine. She knows Kilius can be a handful, but he never actually interferes with her business. Plus, she thinks it is pretty ironic that Henry is worried when he was the one who introduced them. Mai has been grinding on her own experiments since Grandma did not leave any barrier spells in her memories. She finally manages to manifest a dome and feels like she is catching up to Kilius's magic. The girl is already thinking about the business potential and sees this as a potential security device. If she can make it stealthy, she might have just invented a new type of anti-crimeware. There is just one fatal flaw in the design. The barrier seals out air so perfectly that she would probably suffocate herself before an attacker could even reach her. Mai brainstorms a new defensive spell, adding a chimney to her dome to solve the air problem. She manages to get the entire barrier floating just 5 centimeters off her skin for full coverage. Feeling like a genius, she strikes a pose despite the invisible chimney looking a bit silly. This new safety gear should make her solo night walks way less stressful. Back at the cafe, she asks Curious if personal barrier magic is actually the game changer she thinks it is. The idea of being invincible to attacks sounds like a dream come true. This dude immediately pops her bubble while finishing his chicken omelet rice. He mentions that his teacher laughed at him for the same idea as a kid, since solid barriers usually lead to suffocation. He explains that real pros have to weave their barriers into a fine mesh for breathability, which is way out of her league for now. Our girl can only facepalm at her own lack of foresight before the talk shifts to the chestnut pie Henry brought home. That pie apparently caused a full-blown civil war over at the magic department. Curious worries he is being a pest by hanging around, but she quickly assures him he is all good. The conversation takes a turn when Curious reveals she has a massive fan club among his colleagues. Between her cooking skills and her looks, there's a line of guys waiting for a chance to ask her out. Curious mentions that Henry is basically acting as her wingman by telling everyone how great she is. Mai stays busy with the dishes, not exactly thrilled about having a fan club. Romance just feels like a chore when she is still trying to figure out how this new world even works. Between the cultural gap and the daily grind, she is just not interested. Telling someone she is actually from another world would probably get her sent to an asylum, but keeping that secret forever sounds like a total nightmare. She tries to claim she is just focused on the business, but Curious reads right through her. He points out that she is clearly putting in the bare minimum effort just to stay afloat. She was caught off guard. Curious notes that her expensive glassware is a major red flag for someone claiming to be a humble commoner. The quality is way too high for a random back alley cafe. Everything from the flawless furniture to her habit of closing whenever she feels like it screams that she doesn't care about the money. In this world, that kind of lack of greed makes her stick out like a sore thumb. Curious is definitely onto her, pointing out that not a single cup in the place is chipped. He assumes she is just tossing them the second they get a scratch. Mai tries to play it off by claiming she uses transformation magic to repair everything on the fly. Curious isn't buying it though, doubling down on his theory that she is just a rich girl playing chef for fun. Our girl realizes she underestimated how sharp people are in this world. To keep her cover, she decides it is time to start making her glassware look a lot cheaper and more commoner tier. Training hasn't been easy, especially since her stealth magic is so scuffed, it terrifies the local cats. She swears to keep grinding until her barriers are actually usable. 5 months have flown by since the hideaway opened its doors. It is officially December 29th and the year is finally winding down. Henry is back in his official uniform and looking more serious than ever. The year-end season is about to kick off, and he is ready for the grind. It is December 29th, and in this world every month is a flat 30 days. Mai handles the chores while wondering about the local New Year's traditions. She is still flying blind when it comes to local common sense, so there is no one to ask for advice. Right on cue, Henry swings by the shop as the year winds down. While Henry enjoys a plate of lamb and apple sauté, Mai asks if the royal officials actually get any time off. It is a valid question, but the holiday schedule here is a bit different. Henry keeps it vague, saying that whoever can take a break will. His mysterious energy makes Mai feel like she definitely should not push for more details. Mai apologizes for disturbing his dinner, but he drops some lore. Apparently, the end of the year is reserved for couples and lovers to spend quality time together. According to Henry, if you're single, you usually just party with friends instead of working. Mai finally puts the pieces together that tomorrow is basically just a giant lover's day. It sounds exactly like how people treated Christmas in her old world. She decides to just go with the flow while her face starts heating up. Henry floats the idea of just taking the day off himself. Seeing him physically deflate like a sad balloon, Mai starts to feel a little guilty. She realizes her favorite regular is genuinely crushed at the thought of the shop being closed. He explains that since everyone is out on dates, even the castle cafeteria is locking up. If the cafe closes too, he is stuck eating sad store-bought bread for his holiday shift. Even with his poker face on, his aura is radiating pure despair. Mai cannot stand the sight and offers to open the shop just for him, which makes the guy light up instantly. Our boy admits that a good meal is the only thing that makes working a solo shift on a holiday bearable. He is definitely not used to having someone look out for him like this. Since it is a special occasion, Mai offers to whip up anything he wants as a special order. He does not even hesitate, asking to try whatever dish the chef personally likes best. Then the realization finally hits her. If everyone else is off on dates while Henry is working, that means this top-tier official is actually single. She cannot believe a guy this handsome is flying solo for the holidays. Henry just shrugs it off, claiming he usually gives off a cold and unapproachable vibe to everyone else. She starts spiraling, worried that she just insulted her best customer. Henry just shrugs it off, telling her it is really not that big of a deal. A sudden realization hits her as she looks at his peaceful expression. Something about the way he is acting makes her pause. Her brain short-circuits as she realizes her compliment sounded way too much like a confession. She tries to backpedal immediately, comparing him to cats and flowers just to make it less awkward. Henry takes the bait and asks if she just does not see him as a man at all. This conversation is going south fast as her words keep digging an even deeper grave. Our boy just chuckles and tells her to relax because he is actually looking forward to their private lunch tomorrow. He says his goodbyes and heads out, leaving the shop quiet again. As soon as the door closes, she hits the floor in a full mental breakdown. She is convinced she just made everything weird for no reason and ruined the mood with her favorite regular. She decides to stop sulking and turns that embarrassment into pure motivation. She is going to make tomorrow's meal so good that he forgets all about her awkward mistake. Henry shows up with a bouquet and sweets to apologize for the holiday work. Mai is stunned by the unexpected gifts. She accepts the gesture with a smile. Our boy is just eager to start their special lunch together. The spread is incredible with steak, pasta, and baked cheesecake. Mai explains she put together all their favorites in a variety style. This meal is a nostalgic trip back to her family roots. She even pre-cooled the food since she knows he has a sensitive tongue. Henry is confused by the term cat tongue until he realizes it is slang for being sensitive to heat. Mai realizes she accidentally used a phrase from her own world and tries to play it off. Time to dig in. Henry insists she sit down and eat with him instead of just standing there. He takes his first bite and looks like he is floating, since he usually has to wait for his food to cool down. Being able to eat immediately is pure bliss. Mai introduces him to the concept of cheese fondue, and the guy is so hooked he says he would risk a burnt tongue just to try it. She has to tell him to calm down before he actually hurts himself. The conversation shifts to family when he asks if she always goes this hard for New Year meals. She keeps it humble, casually mentioning she was adopted by a kind family called the Howlers. She looks back fondly on the happy years spent with her foster parents. Meanwhile, the word adopted hangs heavy in the air as her guest processes the news. To her, being adopted is not a sad story because she feels lucky. Our boy takes the opening to share that his own birth mother lives right here in the capital, and he plans to visit her tonight. She notices a faint shadow of sadness cross his face. It is a rare moment of him being vulnerable and sharing something so personal. Watching him, she realizes that everyone has their own hidden scars. Her time in hospitality has taught her that behind every smile is a story of struggle. She decides not to say it out loud to avoid sounding preachy. In her eyes, just surviving and being alive is already a big success. Mai sips her tea, enjoying the quiet peace of her shop. She is just glad she did not have to spend New Year's Eve by herself. The year officially ends, and January begins as Henry heads home. Mai waves him off, hoping that the start of the year stays drama-free. A regular customer brings up the Spring Waiting Festival and tells Mai she should dress up to impress her man. Mai plays it cool while having absolutely no clue what this event is. She is having a total internal meltdown in the storage room. Apparently, this festival is a massive deal that every single person in the kingdom knows about. Since she cannot look suspicious, she needs to find someone chill to ask. Romy from the tavern seems like the perfect choice because she never pries into other people's business. Mai heads over to the tavern and gets the usual warm welcome from Romy. She settles in with some liquor and dried meat while preparing to get the scoop. Mai leans in for a secret chat. Roma's eyes light up with romance vibes, but Mai quickly explains it is nothing that exciting before asking about the festival. Mai practically begs for the info since Romy is the only one she can trust. Romy is completely stunned that anyone could actually be this out of the loop. Our girl is just relieved she found someone who can keep a secret. Romy explains that this festival has been a staple for centuries, marking the second official day of rest in the entire year. The whole capital transforms as bonfires line the main streets to burn away the impurities of winter. It is a time for everyone to walk together and celebrate surviving the harsh season. Crowds pack the streets because once spring hits, the farmers are stuck in the fields. Romy notes that it is the prime time for lovers to get some quality time in before the busy season starts. Mai finally puts two and two together and realizes this is just a fantasy version of Valentine's Day. Romy heads back to work with a wink, leaving Mai to think about her own plans. She plans to just play along with the festival vibes without actually falling in love. Her peaceful walk home is suddenly interrupted by a presence she did not see coming. Being the only one who does not know common knowledge is a lot more stressful than she expected. She is glad she dodged that bullet, but keeping her cover is becoming a full-time job. A sudden voice breaks the silence as Mai turns to find Henry adjusting his coat nearby. He looks like he just caught up to her, but the vibe is definitely a bit off. Panic starts to set in as she wonders just how much he actually heard. She didn't even notice he was standing there, and the timing could not be worse. Henry admits that his sharp ears caught every word, and the apology does not make things any less awkward. He shifts his gaze, looking ready to drop some heavy news. Suddenly, something goes wrong as Henry doubles over in pain. A strange energy swirls around him while he lets out a muffled groan. Without another word, he cuts the conversation short and makes a break for it. He barely manages a quick apology before vanishing into the night. The heavy door slams shut, leaving Mai standing there in total confusion. She hopes he is not sick, but it is hard not to worry after seeing him look that unwell. Mai sprints out into the night calling for him, but there is no sign of the man anywhere. Her concern turns to shock when she stumbles across a pile of his belongings left in the middle of the path. She can only stare at the empty clothes in disbelief. Mai clutches the empty clothes, convinced Henry was attacked. She sprints through the alleyway to find help, but a voice from the darkness stops her cold. The voice definitely did not belong to Henry. A massive shadow looms over her, and a pair of glowing eyes demand she leave the clothes behind. The mysterious shadow steps forward, revealing a large cat with a very intense look. Mai is frozen, unable to process what she is seeing. In the middle of the empty street, she finally asks if the cat was the one talking. Our girl is left with nothing but a pile of laundry and one very large feline. Mai stares down the massive shadow in the alley, realizing there is still a lot she does not understand about this magical world. She tries to keep her cool, chalking it up to standard fantasy tropes before asking the giant feline if it was actually the one talking. The cat looks incredibly stressed as he begs her to leave the clothes behind, admitting he would rather not be naked once he transforms back. Looking at the empty pile of clothes on the ground, the truth finally starts to click. She lets out a shocked gasp as she realizes who she might be talking to. No more secrets. The cat sits tall and confirms the truth, revealing that he is indeed Henry Howler. Henry thinks she is taking this way too well, but then she starts yelling, demanding to know if turning into a pet is a common occurrence in this kingdom. She settles down, deciding that this weirdness actually fits his vibe, while the cat just sighs and prepares for a very long explanation. Henry tries to play it cool and tells her to just head home while he waits to turn back. Mai isn't buying it and asks if he is sure he can even change, so he admits this is his first time being a cat since he was 5. No way she is leaving him behind like this. She decides to sit right there until he is human again, mostly because the thought of him being stuck as a stray forever is too depressing. Our MC asks for the play-by-play on how this even happened. She is half convinced she is just dreaming this whole thing because she is desperately craving some feline cuteness. Henry hits her with the reality check and says it is definitely not a dream. He starts dropping some lore about the Beastkin, a rare race capable of shifting between human and animal forms. Turns out his mom was a cat type and he is a super rare half-human hybrid. Most of his people live on a whole different continent, so seeing one around here is basically unheard of. Mai processes the info, but something still doesn't add up. If he hasn't transformed in years, there has to be a specific reason it happened right now. He is just as confused as she is. All he knows is that he felt a sudden surge of heat at the tavern and had to bolt outside before he turned into a pet. Mai is fighting for her life, trying not to pet the cat because he is just too adorable. Henry is feeling pretty low, admitting he actually overheard her talking to herself earlier. Henry feels bad for causing a scene, but she is quick to brush it off. She tells him she is staying because she wants to, and reminds him that everyone has secrets they keep tucked away. The cat is surprised, wondering if she really has something to hide too. With a knowing smile, she confirms she has a secret that is just as big as his beastkin form. She has been holding on to her past for a long time, and she feels like she can finally trust him. She offers to open up, asking if he is actually ready to carry that weight with her. Henry looks at her with total sincerity. He tells her that if sharing her burden makes her feel even a little bit better, then he is all ears. She turns the mood around by making it a game, holding out both fists. He has to guess which hand is holding her key to hear the main secret, or he settles for the smaller one. Henry gets a little nervous, wondering if he is ready for this much honesty. She just shrugs it off, reminding him that since she already knows his deal, they might as well be even. Our MC admits she has been carrying way too much on her own, and keeping secrets is just a total drag, since you can never really talk to anyone about them. Henry is hesitant, wondering if he is the right person for this heavy info, but she is already all in. She tells him to go ahead and guess before finally revealing the key in her palm. He nails the guess, and she happily tells him that if she is going to trust anyone with the truth, it has to be him. Since this is a big talk, she invites him back to her place to chat by the fireplace. Henry is starting to sweat it a little though because he still has no clue how to turn back into a human. They make a move and Mai is basically living her best life now that she finally has a cat at home. She is so hyped she can barely keep it together, especially since her new pet is a giant talking beast. She is definitely here for the cat content, even telling him to purr as much as he likes. She almost spaces out and offers him tea like a normal guest before realizing that might be a bad move for a feline. Reminding her he is still human on the inside, Henry skips the mice and goes for the tea. Once they are both settled, she sits him down and decides it is finally time to spill everything. Our girl finally drops the ultimate bombshell while they chill by the fireplace. She looks him in the eyes and admits she is actually from another world. The cat completely short-circuits from the news. She realizes she might have been a bit too blunt and offers a quick apology for the sudden reality check. The questions start flying as the cat asks for some interdimensional details. She explains her life back home as a restaurant owner before her health took a turn for the worse. He is struggling to wrap his head around the whole another world concept. It is becoming clear that her grandmother was a legendary mage with some seriously high-level skills. The interrogation continues with questions about her grandma's age and name. Once she reveals the name is Sasaki Ryo, it seems like he has finally connected the dots to something big. She picks up on his weird vibe and asks if there's a problem with her grandma. He plays it safe and tells her he needs to do some research before he says anything for sure. Our girl is still baffled that he is more into her family tree than her actual magic. The conversation shifts to him turning back into a human, but he has zero clues on how to make that happen. Mai is not letting him go anywhere. She insists he stays since a giant talking cat wandering the streets would definitely cause a citywide panic. Our boy tries to play it safe by offering to sleep outside, but she is already shutting that down. He eventually gives in and drops a deep bow, thanking her for the insane level of hospitality. Mai brushes it off by saying they should help each other out in times of trouble. Before he can get too comfortable, she admits she has a small favor to ask. She finally drops the big question, wondering if she can give him a little pat. The request catches him off guard, but he remembers she is a dedicated cat fan and tells her this body is all hers to pet. She goes full beast mode and dives in for a huge hug, obsessed with the fact that she finally has a talking cat. Living her best life with her new fluffy companion, she barely stops herself from burying her face in his belly. She has to keep reminding herself that even if he is a cat now, he is still the same serious Henry. After a marathon petting session, her cat cravings are finally satisfied. The energy recharge is exactly what she needed to end the day on a high note. They finally call it a night and head to their separate rooms. As soon as she is alone, the internal squealing starts as she processes just how cute her new houseguest really is. Lying in bed, she cannot get over the fact that he smelled like soap instead of a normal pet. Looking back at his human form, she realizes the cat beastkin hints were there all along. It is a lot to process, but she finally accepts the reality of her favorite regular being a feline. Mai is finally resting easy, relieved to have shared her heavy secrets. Relying on Henry to help her navigate this strange world sounds like a perfect plan. Meanwhile, our cat boy is outside under the stars, kicking himself for how messy things got. He flashes back to that festival talk, realizing just how hard the jealousy hit. It turns out his heart was basically on fire with envy. That sudden burst of negative energy is what triggered his transition into this beast form. The thought of losing her was so bad he almost let his primal side take over. Those dark thoughts about using his claws were scary, but he shut them down immediately. He refuses to let his beastkin side turn him into a violent monster. He is still in shock that Mai did not run away, instead choosing to be even kinder to him. The more affection she shows, the more he feels like a complete mess in this fluffy body. Her pure heart has him feeling so overwhelmed he can barely hold back the emotions. Having half beastkin blood usually meant keeping love at arm's length. Confessing was never on the table, but now he is realizing he cannot lie to himself anymore. Deep in his own thoughts, the human side of him finally admits that he loves her. Even back in his beast form, the warmth of her presence and her scent still linger in his fur. He watches her sleep, realizing she actually adores this fluffy side of him despite the confusion it brings. It is a strange tug-of-war between his two halves that leaves him feeling both happy and lost. Curled up by the fireplace, he lets out a long sigh as he tries to process these new emotions. Morning arrives and our girl Mai starts her day with a good stretch. She heads downstairs and finds Henry still in his fluffy form. "Good morning, Henry." The bad news is that he is still stuck as a cat. He apologizes for the trouble and asks for one favor. He needs a letter sent to his family home immediately. Mai is more focused on the perks of having a cat roommate. She sparkly eyes her way into trying to hand feed him a piece of broccoli. Say, "Ah, Henry." Our boy is dying of embarrassment, but she is not letting him off the hook. She argues that a noble like him cannot be expected to eat straight from a bowl. She is going to feed him herself, and that is that. He finally caves and accepts the service. Mai is living her best life playing waitress for a talking cat. One empty plate later, he admits the food was top tier. With breakfast done, Henry gets serious about his schedule. He plans to take the day off and asks her to drop a letter at the Howler Viscount family. Mai realizes the stakes just got higher. The noble connection is officially confirmed. Mai had a hunch about his status for a while, but hearing it out loud is different. Our boy Henry is legit royalty adjacent. Mai reflects on the harsh social divide in this world. She quickly learned that commoners are expected to bow and give way whenever a noble passes by. She arrives at the massive Howler family estate to deliver the letter. The news that Henry is taking a day off work sends the entire servant staff into a total meltdown. The message travels through the mansion as the staff wonders if something happened to their young master. The head butler takes the letter and heads straight for the master of the house. Viscount Howler reads through the update and seems relieved his son is safe. He accepts that Henry is still stuck in his cat form and promises to handle the excuse for his absence at the castle. The mood shifts as the Viscount turns his full attention toward Mai. He thanks her for taking such good care of his son, but our girl plays it cool and tells him it was nothing. She makes it very clear that she is not looking for a reward for her help. She views Henry as a friend and vows to protect his secret no matter what happens. Hearing her commitment puts the Viscount at ease. He orders a carriage immediately and asks Mai to go back with the butler to bring Henry home. Inside the mansion, the Viscount clears the room so they can talk in private. Henry feels bad about making her close the cafe, but Mai tells him to relax and enjoy the break. The Viscount rushes over, just happy to see his son is alive and well. Henry can only offer a small apology for all the stress he caused. It turns out this transformation has only happened once before, when Henry was a little kid with a fever. This time around, he seems perfectly healthy, which makes the whole thing even weirder. They search for a trigger, but Mai confirms they were just hanging out and having a drink when it happened. No obvious cause, just a sudden cat body. The Viscount gets serious, reminding them that beastmen are basically unheard of in this kingdom. Being outed would be a total nightmare, since most are forced to live in the shadows. Information is scarce because they have zero contact with the Beastman nation. As far as anyone knows, Henry is a one-of-a-kind hybrid of human and beastkin. With no clue how to turn him back, Mai suggests reaching out to the one person who might have answers. She thinks asking Henry's mother is their best shot at fixing this. The Viscount drops a major truth bomb by saying he has no clue where the birth mother is. Mai is shocked because she thought Henry mentioned seeing her before. Our boy in cat form just looks on as things get complicated. Henry asks for a moment alone with Mai to sort things out. His father agrees and leaves, while Mai realizes she might have accidentally snitched on a huge secret. Once the door shuts, Henry admits his adoptive parents have zero idea about his secret visits. He keeps them in the dark because he does not want to hurt the family that raised him. Mai looks at him and sees a genuinely kind soul. This guy never complains about his situation, no matter how hard it gets. She used to be intimidated by his noble status, but seeing the love from his family changes the vibe. The Viscount even thanks her for being there for his son during this mess. Mai is ready to step up and help in any way possible. Henry feels bad for dragging her into this, but he says there is something only she can do. He asks Mai to come with him to meet his mother. The plan is to sneak out tonight and get some real answers about this beastkin situation. Mai is stressed because the stakes are way too high. Henry just wants to talk to his mom for advice, but she knows that sneaking out could end in disaster if they get spotted by the locals. Henry calls her over and gets real about why he is being so secretive. This whole mess is tied directly to the position of his biological father. His adoptive parents have kept his real dad's identity a total mystery, but Henry has a pretty good idea. Judging by the luxury surrounding his origins, he has to be someone of incredibly high rank. He is convinced his father is a top-tier noble who had to hide him with a viscount just to keep him alive. If the truth ever came out, his very existence would trigger a massive succession war that would get both him and his mother killed. Our boy just wants to keep his mother as far away from the dangerous world of the nobility as possible. Mai realizes that despite being the one in a cat body, Henry is still putting everyone else's safety before his own. Henry notes that the world always seems to dump the heaviest burdens on the kindest people. Mai has seen enough and decides they are heading out tonight to track down his mother once and for all. They take to the streets under the cover of night to find his mom, Carlotta. She is currently working as a maid at a girls' academy, which is the perfect reason why Henry needs Mai to handle the infiltration. Carlotta steps into the frame and apologizes for keeping Mai waiting. She wastes no time getting to the point and asks what exactly happened to her son. Without warning, the massive cat launches himself directly at his mother. Carlotta and Mai both react with shock as Henry makes his move. Our boy gets a warmer welcome than expected as his mom starts complimenting his feline looks. She is genuinely impressed by how much he has grown as a cat. Henry tries to explain his sudden change while Carlotta plants a huge kiss on his head. Mai stands back, completely baffled by their casual conversation. Carlotta breaks down in tears of happiness once she hears the news. She is overwhelmed that he finally found someone special, but Henry is still focused on fixing his body. Now, it is Mai's turn in the spotlight as Carlotta demands to know her name. She was convinced Henry would eventually stay in his beast form once he met the right person. The ultimate bombshell finally drops. Carlotta declares that Henry has entered his season of love, leaving everyone in the room stunned. Carlotta drops a major biology lesson, explaining that feline beastmen go full cat mode when they fall in love. Our boy is losing his mind while Mai tries to digest the fact that his heart literally triggered the change. Henry is not here for the long game, and begs for a shortcut to turn back into a human. Carlotta thinks it over, realizing he is in a serious hurry to ditch the fur. She pulls out a bottle of old-school pills and warns him to only take 3 at a time. These are basically emergency rations since using them too much will definitely wreck his health. The news gets worse when she mentions he would naturally shift back in a few days without help. Henry nearly short-circuits because he cannot exactly walk into the royal castle as a talking house cat. Mom leans in for some comfort, reminding him that this is not some weird disease. It is just a natural part of growing up that he never got to learn about. Mai watches the two of them and realizes just how isolated Henry must have felt. Being adopted meant he had zero context for his own body, suddenly turning into a pet. Carlotta takes Mai's hands and thanks her for staying by her son's side through the chaos. She asks her to keep looking after him and offers to be their secret contact if things get messy again. Mai locks in and promises to hold it down, accepting the responsibility of looking after her favorite talking cat. Mom sends them off with a wink, telling Henry to make sure his next visit isn't in fur mode. Our boy just grumbles in agreement while she remarks on what a lovely girl Mai really is. As they stroll through the alley, Mai decides it is go time and hands over the emergency stash of 3 pills. Henry is ready to get back to his human self, but he seems a bit hesitant about the timing. He drops the jaw for a delivery, but Mai is low-key shook by how sharp those fangs actually look. Turns out those teeth are built for defense, but they also have a secret romantic purpose. Down goes the medicine as the lore drop explains that beastkin weaponry isn't just for war. It's for chasing down a soulmate. Mai can't help but feel a bit flustered by the intense energy shifting around them. Suddenly, our boy starts glitching out, making Mai wonder if the medicine was actually a trap. She starts spiraling, asking if it's bitter or if he's in actual pain. The logic finally kicks in, and Henry realizes that turning back into a human right now means he is about to be fully naked. Mai is already covering her eyes and losing her mind before the transformation even finishes. Henry is dying of embarrassment over his massive oversight, while Mai quickly offers up her coat to save the day. She apologizes for the cold and asks him to use her jacket to cover up during the change. Mai takes full responsibility for the awkward situation, admitting she suggested the medicine without thinking it through. She tells Henry not to worry since he is clearly not his usual self right now. The transformation finally kicks in with a strange tingling sensation. Henry asks Mai to look away for a moment, and once the magic settles, he gives her the all-clear to turn back around. Our boy is finally human again, but he is squeezed into a coat that is way too small for his frame. He looks absolutely crushed by the shame, calling himself pathetic for acting so foolish in front of her. The shame is real as Henry covers his face, unable to even look Mai in the eye. He is devastated that he showed her such a clumsy side of himself when he usually tries to keep things strictly professional. Mai tries to play it cool and tells him she is just happy he is back to normal. She guides him through the cold as they start the walk back to the safety of the cafe. Henry promises to get her coat cleaned and returned as soon as possible, though Mai insists there is no rush. He finishes with a deep bow, sincerely thanking her for being so accepting of his beastkin side. Henry finally drops the weight of the secret he has carried for 25 years. He admits that her acceptance of his true self makes him feel like his entire life has been saved. Our boy is so overwhelmed with gratitude that he tries to promise some kind of repayment. Mai shuts it down immediately, telling him there is no need for any of that. Instead of a reward, she suggests they start speaking casually to each other. Since they are partners in crime with a shared secret now, she thinks dropping the formal talk will feel more natural. They trade their final goodbyes for the night as Henry heads out into the cold. Mai waves from the doorway, but a sudden sneeze leaves her wondering if she spoke a bit too soon about staying warm. Our girl is in a rough spot, forced to move downstairs after soaking her bed. She is way too cooked from the fever to use magic, so she has to light a fireplace by hand. The cold and pain start hitting different, triggering memories of her past life stuck in a hospital ward. She wonders if this second chance at life is about to end the same way the old one did, remembering when doctors said there was nothing left but life support. In her feverish haze, she finds herself desperately wishing she could see her grandma and her cat one more time. Suddenly, a loud knocking breaks the silence, and Bro is outside screaming her name. It is Henry, and he looks like he has seen a ghost. He shouts that he is just glad she is still breathing. He rushes in and realizes she is burning up after checking her forehead. Henry is in his feels about taking her coat earlier, but his cool hand is actually a total W for her fever. Mai tries to act like everything is fine and tells Henry to go grab lunch, but he sees right through the act. He wraps her up in his coat and parks her right in front of the fireplace. Henry brings over some onion soup to keep her hydrated. Knowing a fever is no joke, even though her throat is on fire, he encourages her to just take a few sips of the warm broth. When she worries about his own lunch, Henry reveals he already grabbed some bread for himself. He patiently feeds her the soup, which feels like a total lifesaver against the cold. The fever starts making her woozy, but she catches a major shift in the vibe. Henry has dropped the formalities and is finally talking to her casually, which is low-key shocking. He promises to keep watch over the fire while she rests, taking her request from the day before to heart. Mai realizes he is a genuinely earnest person who really cares about her well-being. The cold and loneliness of her illness finally melt away into a deep, cozy sleep. It has been a long time since she felt this relieved and safe. She eventually blinks her eyes open to find him still on guard duty. He greets her with a soft look, checking in to see if she is finally feeling better. Henry is low-key proud of his scheduling skills while Mai watches him from her sickbed. She asks about his job only for him to reveal he clocked out early just to look after her. A tiny smile breaks through the fever as she thanks him for the company. It is a major help having him around during the worst of it. He suggests moving to her actual bedroom so she can get comfortable and change clothes. The feeling of being this weak pulls her back to a dark memory of the hospital drips from her past life. Our boy effortlessly lifts her up for the trip upstairs. Out of nowhere, he drops a curveball by asking if her boyfriend is even aware of how bad she is doing. Henry even offers to vouch for her if her man gets the wrong idea about them. Her brain is spinning because she has no clue where he is getting this boyfriend theory from. He keeps it cool and promises to wait outside while she swaps clothes. Mai is too exhausted to argue and just wants to put the confusing conversation on pause for now. She worries about him catching her cold, but he is confident in his beastkin health. They agree to keep looking out for each other, leaving her slightly stunned as he walks away. Curious is absolutely losing it and banging on the window, screaming to know what's going on. Henry just sighs, regretting that he forgot to close the curtains before the chaos started. The guy explains that he went to check on Henry at work, only to find out he dipped early. Naturally, he figured this was the only other place the dude could be. Seeing that Mai is actually down with a fever, he immediately offers to snag a potion from the magic department. Henry is already looking stressed by the risky suggestion. Hearing the word potion triggers a core memory for Mai. She recalls the info dump her grandma gave her about healing magic. Henry shuts that plan down real quick. Potions are high-tier medicine and strictly regulated, so stealing one is a major crime. The acting leader tries to act like a sneaky swap would be no big deal. Our boy isn't having it though, dropping a cold stop to end the conversation before things get messy. Declining the offer, Mai settles in to get some much-needed rest. Curious finally takes the hint to head home, though he definitely notices Henry's vibe has turned ice cold. Henry is stuck wondering if potions are actually that valuable. He is definitely feeling the weight of the shady offer from earlier while the city lights glow in the background. Back at home, our boy is slumped over the table until Mai walks in with a candle. She tells him she is actually feeling much better and can move around again. She asks if he has any appetite and offers to make some rice porridge for the both of them. Henry steps up and says he will make it himself if she just tells him what to do. Mai decides to take him up on the offer. Our boy is all in, giving her a confident look as he gets ready to cook. Kitchen chaos begins as Henry tries to wash rice while Mai enters advisor mode. He starts panicking the moment he sees the rice grains spilling into the sink. The instructions to stir up and down leave him looking completely lost. Seeing him struggle with such a simple task makes Mai think about her own family. A heavy flashback reveals her parents died in a traffic accident when she was young. She remembers them trying to cheer her up during her constant hospital stays with weird stories about aliens. Mai reflects on her lonely life back on Earth where family ties were paper thin. Getting sick and being sent to this world meant starting over with only her grandma by her side. To protect herself from more grief, she promised never to get close to anyone again. Seeing Henry's kindness makes that wall start to crumble, even though she knows he might not stay forever. The uncertainty of how long they will have together makes her want to lean on him even more. Henry notices the shift in her mood and asks if something is wrong. Inside her head, the fear of being torn apart by loss again feels almost paralyzing. Mai quickly tries to change the subject with a forced smile. Henry takes the bait and asks why she never brought up magic when they first met. He explains that while many people are born with a spark of magic, most never really master it. Only a handful of actual geniuses ever make it to the level of a professional mage. Asking someone about their magic can be a touchy subject since many people carry a lot of pride or shame about their mediocre skills. Without top-tier power, most folks cannot even make a living using magic. Henry drops the bomb that the Royal Magic Department is so elite it only has 9 members. Mai is totally floored when she realizes Curious is actually the big boss of that entire group. Henry finishes the cooking and presents a bowl of rice porridge topped with savory minced meat. Mai is definitely impressed and cannot wait to dig in. Taking her first bite, she feels the warmth immediately and apologizes for being such a handful. Henry mentions she always works way too hard, but she flips the script and asks why he looks so tired himself. She calls him out for being a total workaholic. Henry explains he never wants anyone to blame his half-beast heritage if he ever falls short. Closing his eyes with a gentle smile, he admits he might actually be pushing himself a bit too far. After a few final temperature checks, Henry finally heads out and reminds her that even youth has its limits. By the time the night bells ring, Mai is feeling much better. But then Curious suddenly appears at her door with an apology for the late visit. Curious pulls out a mysterious potion bottle as a gift, but Mai immediately puts her hands up. She knows high-level magic items are strictly controlled and tries to turn him down, but he insists he went through all the legal channels just for her. He explains that his department has a special quota for these rare potions, even if the paperwork is a nightmare. He actually started the application right after their last meeting and didn't stop pestering his staff until he got his hands on it. Mai still feels guilty and offers to pay him back, But Curious shuts that down with a logic bomb. He asks why she is okay with Henry skipping work to nurse her, but draws the line at a simple get-well gift from him. Curious hits her with a charming smile and says it is just a small thank you for all the incredible food she cooks. Mai finally caves in and accepts the gift. Holding the glowing vial up, our girl admits this is the very first time she has actually seen a real potion in person. Curious drops some lore, explaining that cheap store-bought potions are basically trash compared to high-grade stuff infused with elite magic. Creating something this powerful takes a toll on the mage, and pushing too hard could leave him useless for days. Mai plays the country girl card again to ask a follow-up question, and the man is all ears. Mai asks if the ingredients are a secret. Her magic won't work on medicine unless she knows the exact composition, so she is feeling a bit stuck. Curious doesn't gatekeep and lists off 6 different herbs like starbell and blackleaf. He explains that while magic is the engine, getting the ratios right takes a ton of experience. This matches her grandma's old teachings perfectly, which only makes things weirder. The recipe seems like common knowledge, so she asks why potions are so tightly controlled. She searches her inherited memories but can't find anything about government restrictions in her grandma's records. Curious leans in to explain that there are several layers to this. The stuff produced by the Royal Magic Department is in a completely different league from standard brews. These high-grade vials are reserved for the military and medical units for life or death scenarios. Since they're so potent, they have to be handled with extreme care. He brings up a tragic bit of history involving the current king. Before he took the throne, an epidemic took out both of his older brothers in rapid succession. Poor quality potions were to blame for the tragedy that wiped out the princes. Ever since that day, the kingdom has kept a tight grip on both the quality and quantity of magic medicine. Curious heads out while Mai looks at the glowing vial. She figures out that her grandma probably did not know about the kingdom's strict potion laws. Sitting alone, she wonders if making her own medicine with transmutation magic would actually be a crime. She tells herself it is okay as long as she only helps her friends. Our girl decides that if she can help people, it is worth the risk. She lifts the vial and gets ready for the ultimate taste test. She knocks it back and immediately regrets her life choices. It tastes exactly like the bitter green juice her grandma made her drink in her past life. A memory of a modern city skyline at night hits her hard. Back in her old world, her grandma used to carry a black cat and make her drink this exact same brew. After knocking back that elite potion, our girl is feeling brand new and ready to take on the world. She decides to keep the shop closed for the day while her magic gear finishes its stealthy auto adjustments. She hits the streets with her trusty custom cart, heading straight for the market to stock up on supplies. It is officially time to put those legendary recipes to the test. Stepping outside her usual grocery run, she finds herself at the doorstep of a specialized herb shop. This place has a new vibe compared to the usual food stalls. She asks for a specific list of ingredients, including star chime and dragon eye grass. The shopkeeper barely blinks, recognizing her immediately as a potion maker. Our MC does not play around, ordering 10 bundles of everything on her list to build up a proper stash. The selection here covers everything from painkillers to wound prevention. Heading home with a full cart, she realizes that magic medicine is way more common in this kingdom than she first thought. She gets back to her workspace and fires up her motivation to start brewing. Hygiene is the first step, so she gets some old wine bottles boiling for a deep sterilization. Mixing her grandmother's wisdom with actual magic is giving her a serious rush. Brewing time. She fills the bottles with water magic before tossing in the herbs for a final conversion spell. The water turns a deep green right before her eyes. One sip in, and the taste is just as bitter as the health drinks her grandma used to force on her. A flashback hits as she remembers her grandma serving that same green juice every day after her illness started. She realizes now that those drinks were probably potions made with secret conversion magic. Magic was not enough to cure her terminal illness in her past life. She decides to find Curious to thank him, and it looks like he is already within sight. Elsewhere, Curious is in a panic as he corners Henry in the castle halls. The military just ordered 400 potions, and he is desperately begging for a way to deliver them in batches. Henry suggests skipping the middleman and talking to the military directly. Curious just waves his arms in frustration because he knows those hard-headed soldiers would never listen to him. Curious has been the acting leader of the magic department ever since the previous head went missing. Taking on that kind of responsibility at his age is a heavy burden. Curious finally caves and agrees to negotiate, giving Henry the green light he was looking for. Our boy is all in, responding with an enthusiastic yes now that he has a foot in the door. Pivoting to the heavy stuff, Henry asks if it is actually possible to give your magic power away to someone else. He has Mai on his mind as he digs for answers about transferring energy. Turns out it is a rare 3-step process requiring high-level skill, a compatible host, and a direct blood connection for the transfer to actually stick. Curious makes it sound like a total long shot. Henry plays it cool, saying he just read a book about it lately, but the timing of his curiosity is a bit too convenient. He is clearly trying to hide his real motive behind a cover story about wizard novels. He pushes his luck by asking about gearless teleportation, but Curious explains that it is basically just a theory with zero success stories. The idea of sending someone far away without a device is a total gamble. The mood shifts as Curious recalls a tragedy where a mage lost his partner to the void during that same experiment. Henry looks like he just saw a ghost after hearing about the risks. Without any remains or records, the story is just a rumor, but the lack of proof is what makes the situation so eerie. Henry wonders if it was just a tale or a dark reality from the past. Among wizards, the story of the Great Mage Grid is common lore. Decades ago, he tried to use teleportation magic on his lover while he was still young. Even though the destination was right in sight, she vanished and was never seen again. Dark rumors claim he might have dumped her at the bottom of the sea out of jealousy. Gossip Curious heard way before becoming his student. That incident made gearless teleportation a total taboo, which is why Curious is so focused on using devices to get the job done safely. Henry listens as Curious admits those old masters were basically villains. It is a heavy history to carry for someone in their position. Still, Curious admits he understands the rush of being at your peak and wanting to push the boundaries while you still can. Looking back, he can't bring himself to hate Master Leasley. He was a father figure who raised and taught him everything from the start. Henry tries to dig deeper, asking for the name of that missing lover. Curious blanks on the detail, but Henry is already one step ahead. Having scoured the records of high magic users himself, he is on a mission to find anyone who matches the description of Mai's grandma, Rio. As they swap stories about their mentors, the pieces of Mai's mysterious past finally start to click into place. The records point to a girl named Heller, a farmer's daughter from Orb Village with high magic potential. Officially, she died of a fever at age 7, but secret notes suggest her own parents might have sold her off. The timeline is a perfect match, as she would be exactly 78 years old today. It's looking more and more like Heller and Rio are the same person. Henry hesitates to share this discovery. Mai has never shown much interest in her grandmother's origins, and he does not want to dump a bunch of dark, uncertain rumors on her. He can still feel the weight of her loneliness from that night. Standing alone, she admitted that being by herself when the sun goes down is her biggest struggle. He wishes he could just tell her that she is not alone and that this world is actually connected to her home. If only he could find the right words to take that burden off her shoulders. Curious snaps our boy back to reality after noticing him spacing out. Henry keeps it professional with a quick apology, while Curious jokes that he is at least more trustworthy than some national traders. Curious is suddenly curious about that novel and wants to check it out for himself. Henry plays it cool by claiming he forgot the title as they finish up their business regarding the potion delivery. After gassing Henry up as the ultimate scribe, Curious finally decides to leave. He doesn't get far though before remembering a crucial detail he almost left out. The missing piece of the puzzle finally drops when Curious reveals that the name of the missing lover was Lyre. Everything is finally clicking into place. Between the missing lover and the girl who supposedly died as a kid, Henry realizes they are likely all the same person. The reality of her being sold off for experiments is way too heavy for a casual chat. Henry decides to keep this discovery to himself to avoid crushing Mai with the news. Just because he is staying quiet doesn't mean he is stopping. Our boy didn't reach the top of the scribe ranks by accident, and his instincts are telling him to keep digging. Henry is deep in the trenches with his paperwork, but his instincts are screaming that this case needs some serious digging. A loud knock ruins the quiet as a messenger drops off a fresh file directly from Lord Howler. His father works fast, and the name Veterinarian Gonza immediately piques everyone's interest. Over a massive meat platter, Henry recalls the time his family had to find a very specific vet for his cat transformation. Dr. Gonza was a total pro who didn't blink an eye at a noble beastkin kid before disappearing into the night. With his stash of secret meds finally hitting zero, our boy is banking on this legendary vet being able to make more. Tracking him down in a nearby village on his day off sounds like the perfect way to track down some answers. Henry hesitates for a second before finally popping the question. He asks Mai if she would like to tag along for the trip. Mai is hyped and practically screams that she would love to go. The sheer intensity of her reaction has our boy shook as he tries to process the vibe. Being stuck in bed during her sickness made her realize she needs to see the world beyond the capital. Henry can barely handle how cute she is being and officially invites her to join him. They start checking their schedules and realize they have a matching free day. Henry gives a satisfied nod as the plan finally comes together. It is finally their day off, and Mai is having the time of her life on her very first horse ride. Henry is trying to stay professional, but he cannot help noticing how good she smells while they ride through the countryside. The duo arrives at a quiet farm and spots a man in the distance. Henry approaches and asks if he is the legendary Dr. Gonza they have been looking for. Over a fresh pot of tea, the doctor reminisces about how much the little kitten from back then has grown. He mentions feeling bad about the high pay he got for the exam, but Henry clarifies it was basically hush money. Henry asks for the meds since his cat mode is acting up again. Gonza has them, but warns that the side effects are no joke. Apparently, taking them regularly means kissing any future kids goodbye. Gonza explains that being a cat is just part of his DNA instead of a disease. He suggests just vibing with the transformation while noting that Henry is getting the same advice his mom gave him years ago. Henry goes quiet as the weight of the situation sinks in. The doctor notices the mood shift and decides it is time to reveal a secret. He tells them to keep this one on the low. Turns out the rumors about beastkin being extinct are total cap. There are actually around 100 of them living right in the capital. This news hits like a truck and leaves them both speechless. Turns out plenty of them migrated from the old continent to find some elbow room. Gonza has personally treated at least 10 of them in this area. Most of them are just living low-key lives as regular citizens. The doctor tells Henry he might even run into some of his own kind if he is lucky. Mai is curious how a local vet is sitting on all this classified beastkin lore. He reveals he spent his first 30 years living on the old continent. Henry thanks him for the knowledge as they wrap things up. Starting off chapter 9, our girl Mai sees Henry looking a bit discouraged and decides there's only one way to cheer him up. Food. They head straight for the Kuro district, which is a massive outdoor marketplace. This place is a multicultural hub where you can enjoy dishes from pretty much anywhere. Mai has been curious about it since a customer mentioned it, and Henry is glad to finally bring her here. The market is packed and pretty rowdy, which is why Mai was told to only visit during the day with a strong man for backup. Luckily, Henry is a total regular and offers to show her all his favorite spots. Our boy admits that his biggest passion is tracking down elite meals, which is how he found his favorite cafe in the first place. He claims to have a sharp nose for good food. He jokes that his status as a court official gives him a pass for long lunch breaks. As long as the work gets done, no one at the palace is going to stop him. Mai knows for a fact that he is a dedicated hard worker. She points out that he stays so late at the office that everyone else is probably too intimidated to complain. Henry tries to relate by saying he recognizes her workaholic scent, but his inner cat is low-key panicking about his hygiene. Meanwhile, Mai is actually just tracking down some incredible smelling spices. Smelling something nostalgic, Mai sprints toward a food stall while Henry asks if it is the taste of her homeland. She explains it is more like street food as she watches the vendor pour fresh batter onto a sizzling plate. The vendor hands over a steaming wrap fresh off the stove. Mai takes a huge blissful bite and cannot help but cheer at the heat and flavor. Pure flavor explosion. The mix of spicy chili and seasoned meat is so perfect that Mai starts tearing up with joy. Henry is a bit concerned by the tears, but Mai explains that the nostalgic flavor just reminds her of her old world. He gives her a gentle smile, glad that she is enjoying herself. Walking through the market, Henry admits he is playing it cool despite burning his mouth on the hot food. He is just happy to see Mai this energetic and glad he brought her along. Mai is ready for the next stall, but Henry suddenly grabs her hand with a serious look. He warns her about dark rumors in the district where beautiful women have been known to vanish without a trace. Despite the warning, the food tour continues with a huge seafood feast featuring grilled shrimp and fried fish. Mai is peeking, claiming she has not been this excited since arriving in this world. Sitting down for a meal, Henry is hyping up the food while Mai is in heaven with every bite. Chaos erupts when a kid running with a skewer trips. Mai reacts instantly, catching him with a silent barrier before he hits the ground. The boy is safe but completely confused by the invisible cushion. Henry warns him not to run with sharp objects while his mother rushes over. Once the kid is gone, Henry turns to Mai with a serious look. He is blown away that she can cast high-level barriers without a single incantation. He explains that most people cannot see magic, but his vision has always been different. Apparently cats share this same ability, which is a major hint about his true nature. Mai confirms she can use magic. She explains that her grandmother was the one who taught her how to pull off these tricks. Henry admits he was totally in the dark about her powers. Mai points out that he never asked before, nervously wondering if he is actually angry with her. Henry is not actually mad, he is just stunned by her skill. Only 2 other people in his circle can pull off chant-less magic, including Curious and his former mentor. Our MC is confused because she definitely saw Curious chanting before. Apparently that was all just a performance to help him look more like a traditional wizard. Since magic users are already rare, being able to cast without words makes her a prime target for exploitation. Mai decides she is better off not knowing the dark details of that reality. The vibe is getting a bit too heavy for a simple food trip. She really wishes she could unhear those warnings and go back to enjoying her meal. Mai tries to dodge the drama by praising the food instead. Henry takes the hint and promises to never bring up her magic secrets again. A memory of her grandmother back in Tokyo suddenly flashes before her eyes. She remembers questioning why the old woman never raised the prices at her shop. Her grandmother always believed that everything should be done in moderation. It was a simple life lesson that seems a lot more important now than it did back then. Mai looks back on her life in Tokyo and realizes her grandma's cafe was never a big moneymaker. Despite that, they never struggled, making her wonder if the old lady was secretly using magic to pay the bills. It is a heavy thought. She wonders if something dark happened in the past that forced her grandma to keep her powers a total secret. Our MC realizes her magic might be a liability that needs to stay hidden. She asks Henry if he is just acting like a bodyguard because she is still a newbie in this world. Keeping her head down and living in fear just does not sit right with her. Even if she put herself at risk, she has zero regrets about jumping in to save that kid. She is ready to stand by her choices. Helping people is the whole reason she is here, and she refuses to let fear change who she is. She promises to be a bit more low-key about her powers from now on. Henry gives a simple nod of approval. Our boy steps up and offers a deal. He wants to be her official aide so she can keep helping people without getting caught. Henry steps up and offers a serious upgrade by becoming her official aide. He is ready to use his chief scribe skills to keep things running smoothly. He admits his life has been all about work until now, but serving her would actually feel fulfilling. Mai is relieved to have the backup, though she realizes she might have misjudged his view of her. She finally understands that his concern was never about her being a burden. The deal is officially sealed with a handshake and zero room for takebacks. The new assistant is ready to clock in immediately. He has one big question to kick things off. He is dying to know the secret sauce behind her business. He puts her on the spot by asking how she actually uses her magic to make bank. Our MC realizes that having a genius around is great until they start connecting the dots too fast. Henry's imagination goes wild with visions of turning soil into gems or magically processing tea. He is used to magic being a grand military tool, so her casual domestic use is a total curveball. The guy is genuinely shocked by how she actually spends her mana. She reveals her secret pseudo-hairdryer technique, leaving Henry completely vibing. He is genuinely stunned that such practical magic even exists. Moving on to the real moneymaker, she casually shows off a box of treasures. She reveals she made actual diamonds out of charcoal just because she felt like it. Henry inspects the clarity and cut of the stone, realizing it is the real deal. When asked about her production rate, our MC casually mentions she can pump out 20 of these without even breaking a sweat. Henry is suddenly very glad he signed up to be her assistant, calling it a brilliant life choice. He is privately losing it because her lack of caution is way beyond what he expected. Henry compares her to a legendary figure from the past. He tells the story of a magician who once saved the nation from famine by conjuring jewels to buy food from abroad. Mai thinks her gems could actually help the kingdom during a crisis. Then she drops a truth bomb, asking Henry if he will get in trouble for keeping her powers a secret from the crown. Henry asks her not to think too much about the legalities. He admits that while it is not exactly a crime, it is definitely not something a royal scribe would get a gold star for. Henry makes sure she has no plans to join the government. Since she is keeping things low-key, he decides to keep her secret safe by playing the ignorance card. If anyone asks, our boy is officially hooked on her tales from another world. He is especially blown away by the magic hairdryer and wants the full tour of her other world's common sense. They both vibe with the fact that they can finally be real with someone. Mai is just as curious about his world, and their bond is looking stronger than ever as they prepare to share everything. A few days have passed since our girl decided to ditch the loner life and spill all her secrets to Henry. She is currently vibing in the kitchen waiting for her favorite regular and feeling good about finally living life to the fullest. The peaceful morning gets a wholesome visitor when Dion drops by with little Sophia, asking for another babysitting favor. Dion admits the family is swamped with work, and Mai realizes that reaching out to them was her best move yet. She happily scoops up the toddler, telling Dion not to worry since hanging out with Sophia is her version of therapy. As Dion heads out, the mood shifts as Mai remembers that medical care here is primitive, and Sophia's mother did not survive her birth. While getting ready to play, she admits her magic has its limits and that life in this world can be lost way too easily. Sophia kicks off a pretend adventure with her cat plush, and Mai is more than happy to play along with the rabbit. They plan a laundry trip down to the river since Sophia's house is right in the neighborhood. Playtime turns into a quiet reading session while the lunch rush starts to bring in the first wave of customers. Mai serves up a special kid lunch of beef stew and grape bread that has Sophia completely hyped. Sophia is still vibing with her meal when her grandmother, Karen, arrives to take her home after a busy day. Karen hands over some fresh greens as a thank you for watching the kid while the rest of the family worked. Watching the two head home together leaves Mai feeling a little sentimental about having a family of her own one day. Our girl reflects on her simple goal of staying happy just as Dion swings by the cafe for a late lunch. He keeps things simple, ordering the beef stew combo once the rush finally dies down. He is vibing with the meal, loving how tender the meat is. Between the solid prices and Mai being a top-tier owner, he is convinced this hideaway is the best spot in town. Dion checks in on Sophia and learns she is napping with his mom before admitting how much he relies on his family. He then turns the conversation back to Mai, asking what her parents did for a living back in her world. Mai describes her dad as a university professor while her mom and grandma ran a restaurant. It was a total family affair where she helped out after growing up, learning the secrets to their legendary meat dishes and desserts. The mood gets heavy as she reveals her parents were killed in a car accident during a shopping trip. She was only 10 years old when it happened, leaving her world shattered. It was just her and her grandma after that, so they brought in a kitten named Yotaro to keep things from getting too lonely. Grandma would always laugh and joke about her future, finding a new sense of purpose in raising her. Despite all her new powers, Mai realizes she was never given the magic to travel between worlds. She is stuck here for good, and the thought of leaving her grandma all alone on the other side is a heavy burden to carry. Henry walks in earlier than usual, catching Mai by surprise. He skips the formalities and gets straight to the point by asking about today's special. Our boy is giving off a strange vibe, so Mai immediately asks if something happened. She claims she just remembered something to hide the fact that she was crying. Dion interrupts the tension to ask what her messy menu notice says, which turns out to be a fish dish from the Crowitz district. Dion gets surprisingly intense and warns her to never visit that district alone. He promises to keep her safe from any potential danger. Mai mentions having a contact in the area, but Henry and Dion are already arguing over who gets to be her bodyguard. The bold energy from Henry catches her off guard. Before the conversation can go further, a massive sauce splatter covers the scene. Henry is left dazed with a face full of sauce and a towel over his head. Mai is busy apologizing for the mess while Dion leads them away to clean up. Henry is left dazed with a face full of sauce as Mai leads him away to get cleaned up. Talk about bad timing, because his eyes suddenly shift into cat mode right in front of her. They duck into a storage room under the stairs so he can hide until the transformation passes. Mai manages to brush off a curious Dion by claiming Henry just went home to change his clothes. Dion is still on his bodyguard grind and insists on being her personal guide through the Krauts district. To get him to finally leave, she lies and says she will just skip the trip entirely. When she heads back to the storage room, Henry has fully floofed out into his massive cat form. Dion apparently hasn't given up on her yet. Mai is caught off guard that he was listening in, but he just brushes it off. A stack of laundry reminds her that he's supposed to be at the castle, working right now. Our boy is hitting a new low. He admits he has no idea what is happening to his body, but Mai tries to stay positive. A dark thought starts to settle in. He wonders if he will ever be a human again. Mai offers some perspective by saying that being alive is already a major win. Mai suddenly shuts down because she thinks her next thought is too much. Henry stays persistent and wants the full truth. Natural instincts are a struggle. He accidentally starts licking her hand and has to apologize for the cat behavior. He won't let the topic drop, though. The truth finally comes out. Mai admits she was ready to just keep him and take care of him herself. Reality hits when she remembers he is actually a high-ranking noble. She tries to walk back the pet comment by mentioning his status. One more pet of that high-quality fur is all she needs. Mai finally shoots her shot and asks for a hug. Henry is a total gentleman about it, so she dives straight into that massive fluff. Tears start falling as the emotions hit hard. She apologizes for the breakdown, admitting he reminds her of a cat from her past life. Navigating a second chance at life is complicated. She feels greedy for wanting more when she is already lucky to be breathing. Henry listens with deep understanding. He agrees that survival is a miracle, but Mai is still wrestling with her past. Vulnerability takes center stage as our boy opens up. He calls himself pathetic for showing his weak side. But Mai is just happy they are talking. A gentle hand touches his paw to bridge the gap. She admits she is a pathetic adult too, because the smallest memories still make her cry. The Pathetic Adults Alliance is officially born. They promise to lean on each other whenever the world feels a bit too heavy. Things get awkward fast as the fluff starts to fade. Henry warns her to back up before he shifts back into a human, and Mai quickly complies. Back in his noble drip, Henry apologizes for the wait. Mai wonders if her old cat Yotaro would look this good as a human, so Henry suggests she can just treat him like her former pet next time. Mai shoots that idea down immediately. She knows they are both special in their own way and refuses to mix up her past and present. Henry takes the rejection in stride. Mai isn't done yet and asks for more head pats the next time he goes full feline. So he gives her the green light to pet him as much as she wants. Duty calls and Henry heads back to his shift while Mai watches him go. Before he leaves, Henry drops a vague warning about turning into a cat again soon. He apologizes in advance and slams the door shut, leaving Mai totally lost. The truth hits Henry like a truck as he walks away. He finally realizes that his jealous instincts are the trigger, and he transforms whenever he thinks someone might steal Mai away. Henry is officially in his feelings. He knows his jealous cat mode is super petty, but he is worried that being the good boy kitty is keeping him stuck in the friend zone. Full existential crisis. Our boy is spiraling, wondering if Mai actually sees him as a man or just some stray she found on the street. Reality check from his buddy Gersh. The honor student gets caught slacking as his colleague rolls up asking for the lowdown on the best food spots in town. Gersh is not taking no for an answer. He calls out the obvious lie, demanding a recommendation since they are both the new guys on the block. The gatekeeping is real as Henry refuses to leak the location of his favorite hideaway. While Gersh rants about the castle's trash food, a dark storm cloud starts looming on the horizon. The vibes shift as the first raindrops hit. Concerns are mounting as everyone wonders if the local levees can actually handle the incoming flood. Night has fallen over the capital, and the storm is getting out of hand. The clouds are thick enough to swallow the sky, and the vibes are feeling way too abnormal. Mai is getting stressed thinking about Sophia being so close to the river. If the water keeps rising, she knows everyone in that area is in serious trouble. Suddenly, Henry bursts in with a glowing orb, looking like he just ran through a hurricane. He knew she wouldn't have evacuated on her own and showed up to save the day. He checks to see if she is alone before low-key fuming at whoever left her there. Since it is the middle of the night, he can't believe they would leave her without any backup. Henry catches himself before he starts a full-on rant about the missing staff. Mai is just left wondering who exactly is living rent-free in his head right now. No more time for questions because the worst-case scenario just hit. The levee breached, and he is ready to guide her through the flooded streets before it is too late. Instead of running, Mai decides to flex her magic with a specialized rain barrier. It has a super weird chimney design for ventilation, but hey, if it works, it works. Henry is low-key loving how dry he is staying inside the barrier. He points out that the chimney on her head is wobbling, and though she is embarrassed, he thinks it looks adorable. They make it to the destination and Henry tells her to drop the barrier so they do not look suspicious. Seeing the reality of the situation hits her like a truck. It is a total disaster zone with everyone shivering in the rain with zero cover. Just escaping the water is not enough when hypothermia is about to become the main boss. Mai knows she cannot just walk away when her magic could actually do something. She counts on the darkness to keep her secret and prepares to go all out. Henry tells her to go for it and promises to tank any suspicion that comes their way. He stays behind her while she concentrates on a high-level spell without a single chant. She visualizes a shield covering the entire square and lets her magic rip. Henry is left speechless by the sheer speed and scale of her power. A massive dome of light expands across the area, finally giving the refugees some much-needed protection. Looking at the wreck of her shop, Mai realizes manual labor is definitely not the move today. She decides it is time for a flex and wonders if there is even a limit to her magic, since she can pump out elements effortlessly. After getting the place back in order by evening, she hits the sack to rest up for tomorrow's relief work. Our girl is starting to suspect she might actually be kind of a big deal in the magic department. Back at the square, the survivors are stunned to see the rain has stopped right above their heads. One dude reaches out to touch the air and confirms an invisible wall is holding back the storm. The vibe immediately shifts to pure hype, as everyone realizes a mage just saved them from a soaking. They can finally catch their breath without being pelted by the downpour. Henry realizes her body temperature is naturally high, which is a nice perk for staying warm in this mess. Mai is already thinking about the next step though, deciding it is time to dry everyone's wet clothes. A warm breeze starts blowing through the crowd and everyone can finally stop shivering. Mai watches the families resting safely and sends a quiet thanks to her grandma. She is just glad she could bring some relief to the crowd. Dion and little Sophia spot our girl and come over to check in. The tiny sprout is just happy to see her favorite neighbor is safe and sound. The survivors are busy theorizing about a mysterious mage while the real hero stands just a few feet away. They are just happy to be dry and out of the rain for now. Sophia hugs Mai and realizes she is incredibly warm. The extra heat is a total lifesaver for the cold and wet kid. Dion is already thinking about the mess at home, but he tells Mai to stay put while the men handle the heavy lifting. Mai can only watch as her neighbors prepare for a long night of work. Mai looks at the neighbors working and sighs, stuck with her secret identity. Henry notices her hesitation and asks if she is wanting to help. Henry promises to find a way for her to assist without blowing her cover. He makes it clear he is her loyal assistant and is ready to do whatever she needs. Henry is low-key stunned by how sharp Mai is, wondering how she knew exactly what the people needed. She suggests giving out warm drinks to the victims, and Henry agrees it is a great non-magical way to help. The clouds finally part as the sun starts to peek over the mountains. The storm is officially over, and the town is finally starting to dry out. Mai wonders where the disaster victims will sleep, so Henry explains how the community pulls together. She is impressed by how neighbors open their homes while the state provides support for those who lost everything. Henry gets a bit sentimental about how the people and the state work as one. Seeing this level of cooperation in his country makes him feel a deep sense of pride. Henry tells Mai to get some rest before he heads back to work. She gives him a huge thank you for staying by her side all night, and his reaction proves he is definitely not used to that much gratitude. Henry realizes that he doesn't have to hide his true nature around her anymore. He is hit with a wave of gratitude because Mai didn't drift away after learning his secret. Henry admits he feels like a bit of an outsider in this world too. Mai just smiles to herself, happy that she managed to find a place where she can truly live her best life. She grabs his hand and promises to be his personal battery, sharing her energy whenever he feels drained. With the heartfelt promise made, she throws on her cloak and gets ready to move. Cut to the kitchen where Mai is already hard at work when Henry shows up to check in. She is ready to join the relief effort immediately, even though Henry is supposedly on his break. Seeing that he is running on empty, she offers him a bowl of hot stew to keep him going while they finish the prep work. Henry can hardly believe he is getting this kind of special treatment. They look over the high-grade potion she made, but Mai is a bit nervous that bringing out the good stuff might look suspicious to the locals. Between the food and the medicine, they have enough supplies to take care of 40 people. Henry is stunned by her generosity, noting that having potions on hand is going to be a total game changer. They decide to play it safe by calling the goods a donation from a random philanthropist, so Mai can keep her secret safe. Over at the distribution center, the volunteers announce that fresh supplies have finally arrived and the crowd goes wild. The victims finally get a taste of some real food and the relief on their faces says it all. Henry confirms that while some houses took a hit, everyone in the neighborhood managed to survive the storm. Karen reflects on how the barrier saved lives during the storm while the atmosphere at home remains heavy. The kid finally reaches her breaking point and demands to visit Mai immediately. Karen tries to enforce some ground rules before dragging the weeping toddler back home. Our girl just watches them leave, hoping for the best. Henry is still buried in paperwork at the office while Mai finally gets to sink into a hot bath. She is completely spent after a long day of disaster relief. A late-night knock at the door ruins any chance of relaxation. She opens it to find a shivering, disheveled Sophia who managed to sneak out alone. Sophia falls apart, sobbing about how her family is angry with her and how she just cannot take it anymore. Mai pulls her close, trying to process the sudden drama. The situation takes a wild turn as a furry tail suddenly pops out from the back of the dress. Mai freezes up, realizing she is looking at a secret she never expected. Sophia fully transforms into a fluffy animal right in her arms. Our girl is shocked to discover another beast person in this world, especially since it is her neighbor. The truth finally comes out as Sophia transforms right in front of her. Our girl is shook to her core, realizing her neighbor is a dog-type beastkin who can swap between human and animal forms at will. Sophia just tilts her head in confusion at the word beastkin. It looks like the poor kid has no idea there is even a name for what she is. The tears start flowing as Sophia admits her grandma gets mad whenever she turns into a doggy. Mai tries to calm her down, explaining that it is not anger, just straight up worry. Our MC knows exactly why the grandma is so stressed. A cute kid turning into a puppy in public is a massive kidnapping risk, so she promises Sophia that she totally understands it is not on purpose. Right in the middle of the emotional talk, Sophia just flat out passes out. Mai barely catches her before she hits the floor, completely baffled by the sudden nap. Toddlers really do have zero chill when their battery hits zero. Mai scoops her up, knowing she needs to get the kid back to Dion and the family before they lose their minds. Out in the dark streets, the search party is already losing it. Panic is in the air as voices call out Sophia's name through every alleyway. Dion and his family come charging in like a search and rescue team. The relief is written all over their faces as they spot our girl and little Sophia safe and sound. Karen is sobbing while she squeezes Sophia, finally able to breathe again. She can't thank Mai enough for keeping the kid safe, even though Mai admits the toddler basically solo quested her way to the shop. Our MC decides it is time to clock out and heads for the exit. She says her goodbyes, but the atmosphere shifts as someone calls out her name. The mood gets heavy as Dion steps up with a look that says he knows the secret is out. He gets right to the point and asks if she saw Sophia transform. Panic starts setting in as Mai realizes she is in the hot seat. Her brain is working overtime trying to figure out how to answer without blowing the family's cover. She locks in her decision and speaks with total confidence. She promises to play dumb and keep her mouth shut about what she saw. Dion's dad takes a formal stance, offering a deep thanks for looking after their young lady. The group watches on in silence as the weight of the moment settles. Dion's father orders him to get Mai home safely while the parents take care of Sophia. Mai waves a frantic goodbye, begging Karen to let the toddler visit again soon. The group splits up, and Mai watches them disappear into the dark streets. Walking back through the quiet streets, Dion asks if his little sister mentioned anything about her secret. Mai admits Sophia is worried about being scolded, but she tried to explain that the family is just acting out of love. A heavy silence settles between them as they walk. Dion finally finds his voice, asking if the sudden transformation left her feeling terrified. Mai doesn't hesitate to shut that down, saying she wasn't scared in the slightest. She was actually so dazzled by the cuteness that she thought she was in a dream, leaving the poor guy completely baffled. She starts listing off every tiny detail of the puppy form, from the chubby legs to those little eyebrows. Mai is officially a super fan of the beastkin form, while Dion just stands there wondering how she is so calm. Dion brings the conversation back to reality, pointing out how dangerous it is for a kid to shift in public. Normally, toddlers don't have enough power to transform, making Sophia a very special and risky case. He is surprised she isn't digging for more answers, but Mai prefers to let him speak on his own terms. He starts explaining the backstory, revealing that the family ran into a pack of hunting dogs right before the big storm hit. Dogs usually keep the peace with their own kind, but since Sophia was in her human form, the pack saw her as a lower-ranking animal. She did not realize the danger she was in until a muzzled beast started eyeing her as a target. The lead dog took her presence as a challenge and lunged. Our little girl could only watch in terror as the beast closed the distance. The trauma was so heavy that she ended up shifting in her sleep while she was out cold. Dion is officially in his feels, blaming his own harsh words for why his sister is struggling and why she ran away. Since that attack, her powers have been unstable and a risk to everyone. Our girl does not hesitate to step up and offers to take Sophia in, promising to keep her on the low so customers do not catch on. She just wants to be useful to someone and does not care about the extra trouble. Mai is all smiles about the plan and gets back to the grind at the cafe a few days later. Dion heads off to talk to his parents while Mai preps her secret weapon, which is just a perfect hiding spot behind the curtains. It is a simple stealth move to keep their little guest safe from prying eyes. Mai is out here watching the flood cleanup crew grind away while Henry is pulling another no-show for lunch. She spots a pile of acorns on the ground and gets a wild idea to try and make that special treat. She whips out her conversion magic and focuses on the pile of nuts. With a flash, she starts turning those regular acorns into a fresh batch of coffee beans. The roasting, cooling, and grinding process is a whole workout. But she finally gets a brew going. She takes a sip and realizes it is not quite like the coffee back at her grandma's place just as the door opens with a familiar greeting. Henry finally makes an appearance and notices the toasty aroma immediately. Mai welcomes him back from his long shift and explains she was trying to recreate a classic drink from her original world. Our girl offers him a cup, but warns him it has a bitter bite and a bit of a weird aftertaste. She tells him to let it cool down first, and he is totally down for a taste test. Henry takes a sip and admits it is bitter, though the smell is definitely on point. Mai starts doubting her secret recipe, thinking maybe acorns were not the move, while Henry's face drops the moment he hears what she actually used as a base. She casually confirms the acorn ingredient and mentions how the taste just feels off. Henry stops her right there and asks if she ever actually played with these things as a kid, leaving Mai completely confused about where he is going with this. Henry holds up a single bean with a glaring hole in it. Chibi Mai is absolutely dying of embarrassment in the background as the reality of her bug-infested coffee sinks in. A quick flashback reveals why he is such an expert on bug-infested acorns. Apparently, his childhood collection once traumatized a housemaid, and he never forgot the sound of her scream. Admitting she still has a lot to learn about this world, Mai pivots to the relief effort. She offers Henry some of the stewed offal she prepared, but he mentions he already ate. He grabs the heavy pot and insists on helping carry it to the recovery site. This dude wants the survivors who lost everything to get the energy boost they need. On the way, Henry points out that the new curtain she installed is a total workspace hazard. Mai keeps it vague while internally debating if she should trust a fellow beastkin with Sophia's secret. She apologizes for keeping the reason behind the curtain a mystery. Henry backs off and apologizes for prying, but he still has one more awkward question to drop. He drops a bomb and asks why her boyfriend did not rush to her side when the flood hit. The question catches her off guard as he asks if she is actually being cherished. Mai brings up a past conversation about enjoying a festival with a lover, which causes Henry to absolutely short-circuit. He looks completely horrified and immediately clarifies that he does not even have a lover. Seeing how much she rattled him, she explains she was just responding casually in the moment. Henry goes totally quiet and hides his face, leaving the atmosphere between them feeling incredibly awkward. As they keep walking, Mai starts a massive overthinking session about his intense reaction. She wonders if he actually has feelings for her, or if she is just imagining a romance that does not exist. Her brain starts doing backflips as she recalls him saying he does not see her as a woman. Chibi Mai enters full panic mode, convinced he is only helping her because he is her loyal assistant. The internal drama is reaching a fever pitch while they pull the cart together. She just wants him to be direct and say something bold, so she can finally understand what is going on in his heart. They continue their walk through the quiet streets. She tells herself that if he keeps giving off these mixed signals, she is definitely going to get the wrong idea eventually. Elsewhere, the scene shifts to a castle storage room where Kilius is doing an inventory check. A subordinate points out a major discrepancy in the potion count from the flood relief, and the numbers are way off. Back at the castle, Kilius is crunching numbers on the disaster relief supplies. His subordinate reports 40 extra potion bottles showing up out of thin air, and the math is definitely not mathing. The acting leader realizes someone was playing hero under the radar, and he needs answers immediately. Those low-key donations are starting to leave a paper trail. Mai and Henry were just trying to help, but these high-grade potions are about to shake the foundation of the entire kingdom. Back at the royal capital, we get a deep dive into how the kingdom handles its magical stash. The magic division used to pack their potions in super flashy bottles, but the new leader at the time called out how much mana that waste of glass actually burns. He convinced the king to strip away the vanity and swap to a design that blends right in with market goods. The request was accepted on the spot, and just like that, the high-grade potion started looking like every other bottle on the shelf, at least on the surface. There is a secret layer of security here. Every official bottle has a hidden mark that changes on a rotation to keep fakes out of the system. The math is officially a nightmare. They sent out 50 potions for the flood relief, but somehow 90 of them were returned to the vault. This is a major red flag because all 90 bottles have the secret mark, meaning someone is mimicking their signature products. It brings up a dark memory from 25 years ago when a plague claimed the lives of 2 princes. Back then, the kingdom was rocked when their official magic potions had zero effect on the royal family. Everyone was left screaming for answers about why the magic division's supplies failed so miserably. The vault was supposedly locked down tight. These potions are the real deal. The officials insisted, swearing that only a mage could even touch the mechanism. But the investigation revealed a total disaster. Someone had managed to swap out the high-grade potions for cheap market junk right under their noses. The thief turned out to be a castle servant who kept their magic a secret just to pull off the heist. They had taken the job specifically to loot the treasury and sell the goods, proving the kingdom's background checks were a massive fail. That one mistake cost lives and shattered everyone's trust in the system. To keep it from happening again, the potions are now stored in a high-security building guarded by soldiers around the clock. The lockdown didn't stop there. Only government-approved shops are allowed to manufacture the bottles, and they are strictly banned from selling that specific design to anyone but the castle. Back in the present, Curious is geeking out over the mystery donor samples. Every handmade bottle is an exact clone, from the glass distortions to the secret marks, meaning this is some serious magic at work. Our boy decides it's time for some detective work. He grabs a couple of bottles and heads for the levees, determined to track down whoever dropped off the stash. Curious arrives at the disaster site to handle the mud and debris, and the crowd loses their minds. He keeps it cool, letting the civilians know he has everything under control. It is a total flex as he brings the earth to life, creating rock golems to handle the heavy lifting. The locals are stunned to see massive boulders floating away like they are made of feathers. Being the youngest mage on site does not stop him from being the absolute MVP. He is already over the work though, thinking about a legendary mage named Grid who used to obsess over local bacon bread. Grid is a literal ghost story in the magic world, a man who allegedly used magic to end his own lover and has been in hiding ever since. He is 85 now, and even though he is family in terms of mentorship, he remains a complete mystery. This man never wanted anything to do with the castle, choosing a life of pure magical obsession over status or fame. Curious can respect that level of dedication, recognizing a similar spark of intensity in himself. No more putting it off. He grabs the goods and decides it is finally time to meet the man behind the legends. The estate is as worn down as you would expect for a reclusive genius. He is greeted by a maid who looks like she has been running the entire place solo for decades. Curious reminds himself that castle mages are strictly banned from making potions on the side. The maid stops at a large set of doors as a voice from inside tells them to enter. The study is a total mess of old books with a very grumpy-looking old man at the center of it. Grid looks him up and down before bluntly asking who he is. Our boy introduces himself as the head of the magic division and the disciple of Leasley. He explains he is here for a courtesy visit since his teacher has been missing for a while. Grid is not impressed by the manners and calls the whole visit an empty formality. He thinks showing your face just because you feel forced to is a complete waste of energy. Curious just takes the lecture while shifting the topic to the missing jewel. He admits they have zero leads on where his teacher went and can only hope for the best. The old man just sips his tea and reminds him that praying does not actually fix anything. This vibe is so drained that Curious is already wishing he was back in his own bed. The mood shifts instantly when Grid notices the bag and demands to know what is inside. Curious mentions the empty potion bottle he is carrying, and the old man orders him to hand it over. Grid freezes the moment he sees the bottle, sweat beads forming as he stares in disbelief. It can't be. Curious asks what is wrong, but the old man ignores him. Grid asks if he can even analyze magic, complaining that castle mages are too focused on utility to do real research. He demands to know where the mage who made this bottle is hiding. When Curious tries to say it was just a standard job from a glassmaker, Grid shuts him down instantly. He claims this definitely was not made by any normal craftsman. He yells for Curious to bring the actual mage responsible to him immediately. The old man looks at the glass like it is a holy relic. He says the person who made this is someone he has been waiting over 55 years to find. There is no mistake, it belongs to Riol. He explains that her beautiful magical signature is practically glowing on the surface of the glass. The traces are so clear he can't possibly be wrong. Curious is completely lost on who this Riol person is, but Grid has zero patience for questions. He screams for him to stop wasting time and go fetch the creator of that bottle right now. Curious promises to look into it just to get out of the room. He awkwardly asks if he can have the bottle back since it is actually evidence. Curious makes it clear that he is only letting the old man borrow that one bottle for a limited time. He has seen enough of this place and is ready to move on. As he walks away from the estate, he can't stop thinking about the name Riol. It is supposed to be the name of a dead lover, but the connection to the bottle makes no sense. If he wants the truth, he is going to have to find it himself. Back at the castle, he starts hunting for the person who appraised the magical donations during the flood. He finally tracks down the official appraiser and gets right to the point. He needs to know exactly who brought in those potions and the specific counts for each batch. The appraiser starts going through her records, listing off military deliveries and noble contributions. Curious stays quiet, waiting for a name that stands out from the usual patterns. The shock hits him hard when he hears that Henry Howler donated 40 bottles. Henry is a high-ranking civil official, not someone he expected to find on a list of donors. This does not add up at all. He starts pressing for more details, wanting to know if the contents of those bottles were as suspicious as the person who delivered them. The appraiser feels the heat as she admits the donation came from a mystery benefactor. She confirms every single bottle was top tier, but she literally knows nothing else. Curious hits her with a quick compliment to lower her guard. He is playing it cool for now, but the conversation is about to take a sharp turn. He pushes for real answers, questioning how 40 elite potions could just appear from outside the military without raising any red flags. This is way too big of a coincidence to ignore. Reality hits her hard as she realizes the scale of her oversight. Curious backs off, reminding her that tracking the politics behind the potions was never her job. Curious keeps moving while his brain works overtime connecting the dots between Riol and Henry. He is making sure he does not drop the ball before he gets the full story. The hunt is on as he charges through the halls with a mountain of questions for Henry. He is not planning on wasting a single second. Back at the estate, the old man treats the bottle like a holy relic, while he wonders why his old contact is staying hidden. He is frustrated that they have not reached out to him despite being in the country. Grid is in shambles, ready to take all the blame now that he knows his friend is still alive. He is sobbing through the relief while a vision of young Riol walks into the light. The heavy guilt he carried for years is finally starting to disappear. A memory of Mai surfaces as she prepares supplies for the disaster. She smiles while confirming there is enough food and potions for 40 people. Curious is losing his mind with curiosity in the present. He leans in close and demands to meet the genius who created those top-tier potions. Henry tries to play it cool while secretly panicking about Mai being discovered. He claims the source is confidential and asks if there was a problem with the brew. Curious starts teasing him about the sudden silence. He wonders if Henry is hiding a special someone and refuses to let the topic drop. The vibe gets serious as Curious warns that hiding the truth will only cause trouble for everyone involved. Henry knows the potions are perfect, so he starts to suspect the issue is with the bottles instead. Henry tries to cover his tracks by claiming he just used magic to clone some old bottles. He offers to take full responsibility for the mistake to protect Mai's identity. Curious is way too sharp to fall for that story. He explains that the bottle was clearly crafted by a magic master, which means someone high level is definitely watching them. Curious is narrowing it down. He starts listing suspects, wondering if it was someone from the Howler family, Gilsh, or maybe even Mai. He quickly crosses Gilsh off the list though. He leans in with zero personal space. He demands to know if it is a Howler family connection or this mysterious Mai girl. He is not letting our boy off the hook until he gets a name, shutting the conversation down immediately. He warns Curious not to involve innocent people in this mess. Curious realizes Henry is a tough nut to crack, so he decides to drop some top-secret info about the Magic Division bottles instead. The mood shifts instantly as he explains the gravity of the situation. Those bottles Henry brought in are actually tied to a state secret. If this goes public, the kingdom will hand out some heavy punishments. Panic starts to set in. He realizes he messed up by not checking the bottles more carefully before handing them over. He regrets not stopping the delivery because this is officially a blunder on his part. The news just keeps getting worse. Curious reveals that a very troublesome person is now hunting for the mage who crafted that specific bottle. This guy is apparently obsessed and refuses to quit until he finds them. Shock sets in as he recognizes the name. They are talking about Grid, the legendary mage known for some dark experiments. The realization that this guy is after Mai sends a chill down his spine. Henry is done playing games and decides to confront the problem head-on. He tells Curious to set up the meeting right now, leaving the commander totally stunned. Curious drops the bomb that the old man thinks his long-lost lover is the one crafting these bottles. Henry listens in silence, knowing exactly how deep this rabbit hole goes. The realization hits hard. Mai is using magic passed down from her grandmother Rio, which means Grid is actually onto something. Meeting Grid might clear up the mystery, but it could also ruin everything. Henry looks back at the life Mai has built, then asks Curious to take him to the old man first. Deep inside a massive mansion, the atmosphere is heavy. Grid is still clutching that bottle, demanding to see the one who made it. Moment of truth. Curious introduces Henry as a close acquaintance of the mystery mage. Our boy introduces himself, stepping into the lion's den to shield Mai from the fallout. Some mages can read a person's entire soul through the traces they leave on their work. Henry stares at the evidence, terrified of a future where Mai might just disappear. Deep in a dark room, a mysterious figure stares at the items left behind, wondering if he is destined to spend the rest of his life grieving over what he lost. The legendary mage Grid does not waste any time asking if our boy wants to talk about the person who really made that bottle. Henry just stays silent, feeling the pressure mount. Henry turns to Curious and asks him to leave the room for a private chat. The commander is totally stunned, insisting that as the chief, he is not going anywhere. Desperate to protect Mai, Henry drops into a deep bow and begs for privacy. Curious starts panicking, telling him to get up, because seeing a high-status guy like Henry plead like this is a massive deal. Curious takes it personally, asking if Henry really thinks he is the type of snake who would leak a friend's secret. He is genuinely hurt that his loyalty is being questioned right now. He explains that while he has a duty to the country and his subordinates, he would never betray Henry. As long as it is not a threat to the kingdom, he is willing to keep Mai's existence a secret. The commander tells Henry not to make a fool of him since he knows how to be discreet. Meanwhile, the old man in the back is having a blast, teasing the youngest son of the Marquis family about finding a mysterious new mage. Curious grumbles about how annoying it is to deal with fickle mages and high-maintenance nobles while trying to get his work done. He stops dead in his tracks when he suddenly bumps into Henry and the Minister of Military Affairs in the hallway. Instead of letting the awkwardness linger, Curious makes it clear that he did not get his job through family connections. He is a castle mage because of his own raw talent and insists that Henry treat him like a regular colleague. Henry is all for it, introducing himself officially and offering a handshake to avoid any office drama. They agree to skip the formalities and just get to work, much to the excitement of the old man watching them. A loud, booming laugh suddenly rips through the tense atmosphere of the room. Grid is absolutely losing it, finding the spark between the two young men incredibly refreshing. He leans back and smiles, noting that there is nothing better than seeing the youth show a bit of spirit. The legendary mage finally agrees to sit down for a real talk with Henry. He only has one condition, and that is making sure Curious stays in the room to hear everything. Grid acknowledges Henry's family, mentioning that he must have had a very kind adoptive father to turn out this way. He cuts straight to the chase, declaring that his only real goal is to see Rio again. Henry decides it is time for the full truth. He drops a bombshell, explaining that the bottle was actually crafted by Rio's granddaughter, not the woman herself. The news hits the old mage like a physical blow as he repeats the word granddaughter. He examines the glass with fresh eyes, realizing the magic traces are faint but carry an unmistakable strength. Emotions finally overflow as Grid hides his face in his hand. He is overwhelmed with relief, knowing Rio survived, found love, and left behind a legacy that reached all the way to a grandchild. Our boy sets some strict ground rules before any introductions happen. He has two conditions, starting with a demand to keep Rio's dark history a secret from her descendant. He wants the girl to believe her grandmother lived a peaceful life and died in a simple accident. He refuses to let the truth about Heller being sold and used as a magical experiment reach her ears. Grid is stunned that this young noble managed to dig up the classified truth about Heller. He leans on his hand, demanding to know why Henry is going to such extreme lengths to protect the girl's feelings. Henry explains that she left everything behind to come to this kingdom alone. To him, she looks like she's suffering from intense loneliness while trying to build a new life by herself. Henry is dead set on keeping the trauma away from her, and Grid can see the intensity in his eyes. The old man cuts right to the chase and asks if he is actually in love with the girl. No hesitation from our boy. He admits she is precious to him and refuses to let any useless, painful secrets ruin her peace. Grid respects the hustle. He leans back and officially swears to take those dark stories to the grave. He is ready to meet the granddaughter immediately, but Henry holds up two fingers to signal there's one more condition. Both Henry and Curious use their official titles to demand the truth about her grandmother. Grid actually likes the vibe these two are bringing. He agrees to spill the beans, realizing their intentions are actually pure. Grid decides it is finally time to debunk the local gossip. He has been letting the rumors slide for years, but now the truth is coming out. The guys are absolutely stunned. Grid drops the bombshell that he and Rio were never actually lovers, and her teleportation magic was not even his invention. Our boy Curious can hardly believe it. Grid admits that he was never the mastermind behind the teleportation theory because Rio was the one who actually perfected it. A dark memory shows Rio begging to be used as a magical experiment. She was suffering and wanted her final moments to actually count for something. Blood stains the floor as the flashback gets heavy. All she wanted was to be useful before she finally checked out of this world. We start off with a trip down memory lane to when Grid was just 14. Even back then, the guy was a dedicated magic nerd who hated having his study time interrupted. His father summons him for a meeting, leading the young mage into the main hall. He had no clue he was about to meet the person who would define his entire existence. Grid is introduced to a tiny girl named Heller who was supposed to be his new junior disciple. He immediately senses something special about her and decides to call her Riol. The poor kid explains that she was sold for a fortune because of her rare talent for mana. She does not even seem mad about it, only wishing she could be more useful to her buyer. Our boy Grid is absolutely disgusted by the idea of people being treated like property. However, Riol insists that she is genuinely grateful for her current situation. For her, being sold meant her family finally had enough money to survive. She sees herself as the lucky one for getting the chance to master the mystic arts. It turns out Riol was not just good, she was a literal prodigy, loved by magic itself. Grid is left speechless as the girl finishes entire magic tomes in record time. Riol was a sponge for knowledge, soaking up magic theory like a parched lake finally finding water. She was genuinely having the time of her life just studying. Her growth was infinite. It did not take long before she surpassed our boy Grid, leaving him stunned as he realized he was looking at a once-in-a-generation genius. The good times were cut short once Riol managed to brew a special grade potion. Grid was hyped and immediately ran to tell his father about her big win. The proof was right there in the bottle. Even Grid's father had to admit her progress was top tier, confirming that she had officially mastered the craft. That success meant her training was finished. Grid told her she was a first-class mage now, but the news hit her hard since it meant their time together was over. After only 4 short years, she was being sent back to her master. The Grand Manor felt empty as they sent the young prodigy on her way. Grid made a promise to become the best mage in the land just so he would have the status to find her again. They shared one final handshake, but he would spend the rest of his life wishing he never let go of her hand. Regret is a heavy burden, and decades later, our boy is still haunted by the choices of his past. The truth was finally surfacing. It turned out Riol was being kept a prisoner by her own master. Not a soul in the capital knew she existed, and her presence was being systematically erased. When Grid asked if she was safe, his mentor could only focus on her wasted potential. Grid was not about to let her rot. He packed his bags and headed straight for the lion's den to track her down. The plan was simple but risky. He would pose as her lover just to get close enough to keep sharing magical research with her. Walking through the cold stone halls, he felt like a fraud. Using a fake romance between two 11-year-olds as a cover story seemed like a massive stretch. The door finally opened, and there she was. After their reunion, Riol was forced to keep making potions day and night under her master's orders. Riol's master was pathologically obsessed with living forever and treated high-grade potions like water. He was chugging them daily and even using them for his baths while the rest of the world struggled. Young Grid tried to protest the inhumane treatment, but his words fell on deaf ears. Heller broke down in tears, begging Grid to stop pushing the master before things got worse. She was terrified that her family would lose the money they were promised if he kept causing trouble at the manor. She was willing to endure any amount of abuse as long as her loved ones were taken care of. Grid finally gave in and agreed to stay quiet for her sake. He handed over a magic guidebook as a small comfort, hoping it would give her a mental escape from her prison. From that day on, he made it his mission to bring her new research materials every single week. This secret routine lasted for years until she turned 23. Standing in their usual forest hideout, Grid was still beating himself up for being too powerless to actually rescue her. Riol just smiled through the pain, telling him that his visits were the only thing keeping her sane. To give her a sense of purpose, he assigned her the impossible task of mastering legendary teleportation magic. It was a project that could take an entire lifetime to solve, but she welcomed the challenge. Immersing herself in the complex research made the long hours of isolation disappear in a flash. She looked at him with a soft smile and asked him to become the greatest mage in the entire country. Grid gave his word, promising to reach the top for both of them, but the mood shifted instantly when he noticed a strange swelling on her neck that had not been there before. Heller was caught off guard by the question as the vibe turned cold. That moment marked the beginning of the end for her life at the manor. Her years of imprisonment were about to be cut short by a sudden and mysterious illness. The growth on her neck just kept getting bigger until she started coughing up blood. Her master was so terrified of catching the disease that he threw her out on the street like trash. Grid finally found her collapsed in the brush, desperate to know if she was still alive. Grid was losing it, begging her to hold on as the reality of her condition set in. But Riol wasn't looking for sympathy. She looked him in the eye and told him she had one final favor to ask. She dropped a bombshell, revealing that she had finally perfected the theory for teleportation magic. Since her body was already failing, she wanted Grid to use her as a human test subject to prove it worked. She didn't want to just die in pain or disappear for nothing. She wanted her final moments to actually be useful and leave a legacy behind. Even while trapped in a room and having her mana drained daily for potions, she reached a level of brilliance that even the greatest mages couldn't touch. She was way beyond a regular genius. The stones actually started moving, proving her theory was the real deal. Grid was horrified and suggested testing it on animals first. But Riol knew the mana cost for teleportation was way too high for anything else. Waiting for animal trials would take months she didn't have, and her magic was fading fast. She looked him dead in the face and demanded that he perform the first human experiment on her right now. She begged him to use her final moments for the sake of magical research. He finally accepted, knowing she lived and breathed magic more than anyone else. The ritual started with a massive burst of mana. He watched the circle glow with a blinding light as the experiment reached its peak. Everything went silent as the energy faded. The center of the circle was empty, leaving nothing but dark stains behind. Blood on his hands and terror in his eyes. He screamed her name into the void, realizing he might have just watched his best friend vanish forever. Fast forward to the present day. Our boy looked like a ghost of himself, confirming that was the last time he ever saw her. Henry asked why the potions didn't work. Grid explained they were just a band-aid for a problem that required a real miracle. He put the bottle down and made a choice. The rest of the history lesson would have to wait until he met the granddaughter, face to face. Grid leans in to inspect the triangular mark on the glass. It turns out Mai accidentally recreated her grandma's signature perfectly. Safety check. Grid needs to know how many people have seen the seal, so Curious lists the two castle workers and Henry. Mana surges through the room. A flash of light hits the bottle, and the mark shifts into an entirely different shape. Conversion magic is the secret. Grid admits he's good, but Mai's ability to instantly swap objects without a chant is basically a cheat code. Time for some professional gaslighting. Grid orders Curious to bow down and tell everyone he was hallucinating until they stop asking questions. The case is officially cold. Curious vows to stop the hunt, leaving a tearful Henry to offer a formal introduction at the cafe tomorrow. Protective mode activated. Henry makes it clear that Mai's comfort comes first, and she gets the final say on whether they meet or not. Henry's eyes soften as he accepts the old man's request. A quiet thank you echoes through the estate, marking the end of their heavy conversation. Back in the city, Curious is absolutely vibing over a plate of roast duck. He can't get over the fact that our girl Mai actually whipped up those top-tier potions. Dinner is served with a side of heavy truth. Curious is still processing the granddaughter reveal, while Henry offers a rare apology for being so difficult during the investigation. As the acting leader of the magic division, Curious admits he's starving for talent, but he's not about to force anyone into a job they don't want. He gives his word to keep things professional and respect her choice. Then the mood shifts to full-on teasing. Curious starts shipping Henry and Mai, calling them a perfect match while a stressed Henry just sits there in silence. The blonde division head is already planning the field trip for tomorrow. He's dying to hear about Rio and teleportation magic, even though Henry is practically begging him to stay home. It's a total chaos of dialogue bubbles. Curious is already calling for the carriage while Henry tries to figure out how to stop this train wreck from happening. The night sky hangs heavy over the capital as Henry tries to figure out how to keep his loudmouth friend from spilling the beans. He knows if Curious starts talking too much, the secret about Mai's power is toast. Meanwhile, some random official is still fangirling over Curious and his casual earth-moving flex. Mai just gives a polite smile while listening to the local hype about how mages save the day. Our girl is back on the grind, juggling trays of food while thinking about how hard Curious is working for the city. She low-key wants to see some real magic in action, too. Recovery from the storm is moving at light speed thanks to the magic division. Dinner tonight is elite-level beef stew with bakery fresh bread and cookies for dessert. The community vibes are off the charts. Seeing everyone come together makes Mai feel like she finally belongs in this world, and she realizes this place is definitely a keeper. A wild Sophia appears. Little Miss Sunshine and her grandma Karen drop by the cafe to say hello, and the energy level immediately doubles as the kid starts jumping for joy. Mai asks how the kid is doing after the trauma, only to find out she has already unlocked the ability to shift forms at will. Even the adults are stunned by how fast this tiny beastkin is growing. Sophia demands attention for her next big trick while the adults panic over the venue choice. "Look, watch me," she shouts, completely ignoring the frantic pleas to not transform right in the middle of the room. Too late to stop her. She bursts into her massive round beast form, forcing Karen to scramble and steer the fluffy chaos toward the back of the shop before any customers see. Mai is in total shambles over how cute the transformation turned out. Little Sophia even starts bragging about how she learned to shift without messing up her clothes, leaving everyone impressed by her dedication to the craft. Karen explains that the kid has been grinding her transformation skills multiple times a day lately. It is a massive relief for the whole family to see her finally getting a real hang of her powers. The secret is out. Sophia only worked this hard because she was desperate to impress Mai. Seeing how well they bond, Karen decides it is the perfect time to ask for a pretty bold favor. The kid asks if she can make the cafe her new regular hangout spot, and Mai gives an immediate yes. Our girl is genuinely hyped to have the tiny fluff ball back for more playdates in the future. They have officially set up a daycare plan starting tomorrow. Karen is practically moved to tears by the offer, but Mai just wants to enjoy the vibes with her new favorite regular. Karen and Sophia head out for the day, leaving our girl alone just as a mysterious carriage rolls up to the curb. Inside, the legendary old man watches from the shadows while his companions try to keep him calm. Mai spots the fancy ride and wonders if she is finally getting some high-class customers, but her face lights up when she sees Henry and Curious stepping out. Our boys are back with a +1 this time. They announce there are 3 people in their party today, and Mai is more than happy to let them in. She gives them a warm welcome until she spots the unexpected guest tagging along. She pulls out the best customer service smile and welcomes the squad inside. It is a full house now as the legendary mage finally makes his grand entrance into the cafe. Years ago, a simple question was asked of the girl locked away. "Riol, if you could go outside, what would you want to do besides magic?" Young Grid brushed it off as a dream, while Sarah wondered if there was anything she specifically wanted to see. From the shadows, Riol admitted she would only worry about her master if she ever left. Grid heart sank as he listened to her answer. She sat among the storage crates, insisting that living in this single room with them was all she ever needed. It was a life defined by its constraints, yet she called it enough. Back in the present, the legendary mage finally steps inside the cafe and takes a look around. He notices the fresh look of the place immediately. "So Mai, did you change the interior?" Mai explains that the recent flood forced her into a total redesign. Grid studies the new surroundings with a quiet sense of curiosity. Stepping back into her role as the host, Mai gets ready to take their order. Grid offers a warm smile and asks for her personal recommendation. She suggests the beef stew, and the table is immediately on board. 3 orders of stew and a round of tea coming right up. Mai notices the vibes are totally off and asks if the boys are nervous. Henry is clearly on high alert while Grid just sits there in silence. The food finally hits the table. Mai serves up the beef stew and Grid does not waste a single second before diving in. This stew is a game changer for the legendary mage. He is so overwhelmed by the flavor that the rest of the table does not even know how to react. Grid is impressed by how light the meal is and praises the atmosphere of the shop. Mai reveals the secret technique she uses to keep the flavors clean. Everything she knows comes from her grandmother who wanted her cooking to be easy on everyone. That mention is enough to make the entire table freeze up. Grid tries to stay cool while asking about her grandmother's skills in the kitchen. Mai proudly confirms that her grandma was the one who taught her everything. The tension is rising as Grid struggles to keep his composure. He finally gets to the point and asks the big question about whether her grandmother is still alive. Mai stays positive, explaining how her grandma is probably out laughing with her friends right now. Grid just listens in silence, clearly knowing a much darker side to that story. The scene shifts to a memory of a life spent in a single room. She claimed to have everything she needed, but there was a hidden longing for more. Young Riol gazes at the moon, dreaming of a life where she could just go wherever she wanted. Her biggest wish was to meet people and find a true connection. She just wanted to walk freely and enjoy the wide world like everyone else. Simple dreams like chatting with friends were all she ever asked for. The legendary mage is losing the battle with his tears while snacking on those cookies. He tries to keep it cool by praising the tea, but the emotional damage is already done. Our boy pulls himself together and asks if he can buy some cookies to take back home. He is so moved that he wants his family to feel a bit of this same joy. Mai is happy to help and lets him know they come in packs of 5 or 10. Grid goes big with 2 of the 10 packs, and she heads off to get them ready. Grid finishes his meal and offers a polite goodbye. Mai invites them back whenever they like, but the old man pauses to address her one last time. Leaning from the window, Grid observes that she seems to be quite popular with both cats and dogs. The comment leaves her stunned while Henry looks visibly shaken by the hint. Grid just attributes it to her kindness as the carriage finally begins its journey home. Her mind starts racing with the realization that the old man might have seen right through their beastkin forms. She wonders if a mage that powerful actually exists. Standing alone in the evening air, she decides she needs to get the full story from Henry about who that guest really was. There was something about his gentle energy that stuck with her. As she looks up at the clouds, she can't shake the feeling that the legendary mage felt exactly like her grandmother. That's it for today, guys. If you made it to the end, comment "my" so I know you're real ones. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. Until then, keep on cooking.